Chapter 309. Su Junqing was also a ruthless person and immediately activated the Golden Spear Invincible technique. Bai Lan's eyes immediately lit up and she licked her lips with her red tongue. Although Su Junqing had heard that senior sister Bai Lan had learned joyful union sex plucking technique from elder Mo Hua, and that she was a woman who valued lust as much as her life, he did not take it to heart. Now that he was being ridden by Bai Lan, he immediately felt that the barrier was showing signs of falling. Su Junqing was instantly shocked. Elder Mo Hua's cultivation was a whole realm lower than his, so she did not use the plucking technique on him. She purely treated him as a plaything, and also had the intention of slowly nurturing him before eating him. Su Junqing did not expect Bai Lan to be so daring as to use the plucking technique on him. If she really plucked him, it would not be as simple as his body being hollowed out. But in this situation, it was hard for him to back down. His treasure was tightly entangled by Bai Lan, and it was impossible to extract it. "Junior brother, you're really amazing." Bai Lan's face was flushed, and she looked very intoxicated, but she was actually very surprised. She did not expect Su Junqing to be able to resist her unexpected plucking technique. "Senior sister, you're not bad either." Su Junqing played dumb, but he secretly kept his essence barrier tightly, not daring to reveal anything. Bai Lan made up her mind. She did not believe that she could not take down Su Junqing, so she immediately changed her position and continued to tangle with Su Junqing. The two of them fought for hundreds of rounds, messing up the things on the bed, and even the redwood bed shook until it collapsed. Yi Yunji stood quietly in the corner, her empty eyes reflecting this absurd scene. "Junior brother is really amazing, no wonder master can't bear to leave you." Bai Lan made herself gasp for breath, and her whole body was weak, but she did not pluck at all. Although she was a little annoyed, she did not dare to say it out loud. Otherwise, if master knew that she had designs on Su Junqing, he would definitely not let her off. "Senior sister is too kind." Su Junqing had fancied countless women, but this time was the worst. Although his essence barrier was guarded, his waist and treasure were in great pain. There was not a single part of his body that was unharmed, and it was filled with marks from Bai Lan's ruthless pinches. These marks were not visible on the skin, but it was extremely painful. In order to provoke her, Bai Lan had dealt a heavy blow. "Let's spar again next time." Bai Lan did not want to continue fighting. She winked at Su Junqing, then put on her clothes and left. Although she wasn't able to pluck Su Junqing, the bed battle just now was still very satisfying. Su Junqing sent Bai Lan off with a smile, but when he turned around, his expression immediately darkened. He cursed fiercely, "Damn bitch, I'll kill you sooner or later." He walked to Yunji's side, caressed her soft and white face, and murmured, "You're still the best. These Corpse sect women all eat people without spitting out the bones." Naturally, Yunji did not have any reaction. She just stood there blankly. Su Junqing didn't think much of it. Instead, he thought about something else. When his cultivation advanced, he would definitely not be able to escape the fate of being plucked by elder Mo Hua. He had to make preparations in advance. The best way was to raise 2 cultivation furnaces for himself. This way, he would be able to recover faster. In his mind, the best furnaces were the Lu sisters. He had also heard about the origins of the 2 sisters. Although their vital yin had been taken away, just based on the fact that they were able to join the Corpse sect after being tortured by the evil old monsters for so long, they were definitely not simple. They were definitely good cultivation furnaces. Originally, he wanted to use Broom Chen to create trouble for the 2 sisters and then capture them like a hero. However, he didn't expect the 2 sisters to hang out with that brat Yunjiu all day and cultivate in seclusion. Broom Chen couldn't find them even if he wanted to. Looks like that Yunjiu can't be left alive. Su Junqing secretly made up his mind. He had to use this opportunity in the small mystic realm to get rid of that brat Yunjiu and take the Lu sisters under him. Yunjioga didn't know that Su Junqing already wanted to kill her because of the Lu sisters. When she returned to the cottage, she kept thinking about Yi Yunji's abnormality. "Do you think Yi Yunji has woken up?" Yunjioga asked Zishang. "She's only recovered her obsession and hatred?" Zishang hesitated for a moment, then said, "But if she continues to evolve, she might become a heavenly corpse in the future." He still thinks highly of Yunji. Can heavenly corpses recover their consciousness from when they were alive? Yunjioga was concerned about this. Just a piece of the treasure map could allow Yunji to recover her obsession from when she was alive. If he buried the other pieces, wouldn't she be able to recover her consciousness from when she was alive? That would be the same as coming back to life. Zishang immediately saw through Yunjioga's intentions and warned, "Don't do anything rash." "I'm not doing anything rash." Yunjioga had an innocent expression. She was just thinking about it. "I don't know if she can recover her consciousness from when she was alive. I only know that if the Een Corpse sect finds out about her abnormality, she will never be able to leave the Een Corpse sect," Zishang said calmly. Yunji's Een spirit body was originally the best material to refine Een corpses. However, she had already lost her vital Een and her blood was drunk by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Her talent was greatly damaged, so Elder Mo Hua didn't want her. Su Junqing had it easy. However, if Elder Mo Hua knew that Yunji had the possibility of becoming a heavenly corpse, he would definitely do anything to get his hands on her. Not to mention her, even those nascent soul realm old monsters who had already gone to other spirit cities to train would rush back to snatch it. If Yunji really fell into the hands of those old monsters, even if she could recover her consciousness from when she was alive, she would definitely be in 1,000,000 times more pain than before. Yunjioga was silent. How could she forget about this? The dead can't come back to life. Dead is dead. It's better to let her return to dust and be completely free. Zishang's tone was slightly regretful. If it was him, he would definitely think of a way to make Yunji his Een corpse. However, Yunjioga was a person who valued relationships and was against controlling corpses. It was impossible for him to order Yunji around. Since he couldn't get her, he had to destroy her. That was why he encouraged Yunjioga to destroy Yunji. You're right. If she still had consciousness, she wouldn't want her corpse to be used as a magic tool. Yunjioga sighed and completely gave up on the idea of helping Yunji advance. This time, we need to get as many human-faced peaches as possible when we go to the little secret realm. These things are good stuff and are also beneficial to me. There weren't many things that were beneficial to him. The human-faced peach could barely be considered one of them. The pure blood chi it contained was quite useful for him to maintain his demonic energy. Chapter 310. Okay. Zishang rarely asked for things. Since he asked, Yunjioga naturally had to do it. She calmed herself down and began to prepare for the trip to the small mystic realm. The Lu sisters had already sent all the ingredients needed for alchemy. Yunjioga spent the rest of her time on alchemy, apart from her regular morning cultivation. Spirit replenishing pill, miasma dispelling pill, evil warding pill, beast repelling pill. She refined all the necessary pills. When she came out of seclusion, the day of departure had arrived. Senior brother Yunjio, Su Junqing has been too warm to us recently. I feel like something is wrong. Lu Mi came to find Yunjioga. In order to have someone to rely on in the small mystic realm, the two sisters had been getting closer to Su Junqing. They began to realize that he was up to no good. He's still secretly using the bewitching art on us, Lu Tian'er added. Her 9 Serenities Daoist body was especially sensitive to the bewitching art. Although Su Junqing only used a little to influence the two sisters, Lu Tian'er still noticed it. Bewitching art. It's the same old trick again. Yunjioga's eyes flashed, and then he said to the Lu sisters, "You guys watch him. Just go along with him for now. We'll talk about it after the small mystic realm. And, senior brother Yunjio, you have to be careful too. I've seen Su Junqing looking for Broom Chen recently. I don't know if he's up to something," Lu Mi hinted. She didn't dare to tell Yunjio that they used him as a shield when Su Junqing hinted that they would sleep with him to get someone to rely on. Su Junqing was probably planning to deal with him right now. "I know. These pills are for you. Keep them well." Yunjioga took out a bag of pills, not taking Lu Mi's reminder to heart. "Thank you, senior brother." The Lu sisters quickly took the pills. The more they knew Yunjiu, the more mysterious he became. He was so good at alchemy he couldn't be the son of a hunter in the deep mountains. However, everyone had their own secrets. They had a tacit understanding and used each other to cover for each other. Only then could they maintain a normal relationship. We'll be leaving in 3 days. After we enter the dungeon, try your best to stay by Su Juanqing's side. If there's any news, inform me immediately. At this moment, the Lu sisters' importance was highlighted. After all, it was impossible for Yunjiu to get close to Su Juanqing. She was afraid that she would not be able to control herself and kill him. Don't worry, senior brother Yunjiu. We know what to do. To the Lu sisters, Yunjiu was 1,000 times more important than Su Juanqing. If there was a conflict between the two, they would definitely choose Yunjiu, even if they had to help him stab Su Juanqing in the back. However, the prerequisite was to ensure the safety of the sisters. After Yunjiu sent off the Lu sisters, he wanted to go see Yunji again, but Zishang refused. You've already alerted her last time. You'll only harm her if you go again. Alright. Yunjiu also knew that if Su Juanqing discovered the uniqueness of the knight Yunji, it would be over. She gave up the idea of seeing Yunji and concentrated on waiting for the day to enter the small mysterious realm. 3 days later, the little secret realm opened. Su Juanqing and Bai Lan led the disciples from Peak 2 and Peak 3 to participate in the training. The place where the little secret realm opened was a barren mountain 100 miles away from the Yin Corps Sect's headquarters. At this time, the people from Peak 1, Peak 4, and Peak 5 were already waiting at the entrance, lined up neatly. Wolf Fang, Han Xiaodong, and Han Xiaoxi stood together, looking at Bai Lan and Su Juanqing from afar. Han Xiaodong was short and muscular, with a fierce face, dark skin, and eyes like copper bells. He looked like a butcher, obviously not a good person. Han Xiaoxi was much better looking than his big brother. He had a medium build, pale skin, and a pair of bright eyes. One look and you could tell he was a shrewd person. This time, he was the one who suggested forming an alliance with Wolf Fang. Little brother Wolf Fang, you just advanced to foundation establishment. Why didn't you consolidate your cultivation in the cave abode? Why did you come here to join in the fun? Bai Lan gracefully walked over and immediately gave Wolf Fang a flirtatious look. She had been coveting this piece of fresh wolf meat for a long time. Unfortunately, Wolf Fang was sinister and cunning. Not to mention seducing him. If she wasn't careful, she would be tricked by him. This is a rare opportunity, so I naturally have to grasp it well. Wolf Fang replied in a neutral tone. This time, he came to find the cloaked man who helped him remove the poison. Originally, he thought that after being poisoned by the peach blossom charming bone poison, even if he could remove it, his vitality would be greatly damaged. However, he didn't expect that not only did that expert completely remove the poison, he even removed some of the poisonous impurities in his body. After he consumed the foundation establishment pill, he successfully advanced and actually didn't encounter any bottlenecks. At this time, he finally realized how powerful that expert was, which was why he took this opportunity to find him. Little brother Wolf Fang, if you want a chance, come find me. No matter what you want, I will definitely agree to it. Bai Lan said half jokingly, half seriously. Senior sister Bai Lan, isn't it enough to have junior brother Su? You won't even let our little brother Wolf Fang off. Your cave is too big, don't you want us brothers to help you stick it in a few times? I guarantee you'll feel great. Han Xiaodong laughed heartily. Although he wasn't interested in beauties, he could still freely speak dirty words. Senior sister Bai Lan's cave is too loose, I'm afraid even us two brothers won't be able to fill it. Han Xiaoxi also added seriously. Bai Lan's expression immediately turned ugly. Although she liked to pluck, she couldn't just eat everything. She hated vulgar boorish men like Han Xiaodong the most. Unfortunately, the Han brothers weren't to be trifled with. The eldest brother fought without a care for his life, while the second brother was as sly as a fox. Unfortunately, aside from cultivation, the two of them didn't dare to be interested in beauties. Charm techniques were useless on them. Moreover, although the two brothers were only at the great perfection of Qi disciple, The combination of their cultivation technique could release the power of a foundation establishment cultivator. Bai Lan didn't dare to brazenly provoke them. She could only laugh coldly, throw down a sentence of "wait and see," and return to Su Juanqing's side. "This woman isn't simple. You guys have to be careful in the future if you offend her." Wolf Fong reminded the Han brothers. Ever since he suffered a great loss at the hands of the Joyous Union sex hooligans, he no longer dared to look down on women. "Little brother Wolf Fong, don't worry. We know what's important. When we enter the mystic realm later, we'll need little brother to take care of us," Han Xiaoxi said politely. When he heard that the ones leading the team this time were Bai Lan and Su Junqing, he immediately brought his brothers to find Wolf Fong to request an alliance. Wolf also agreed very straightforwardly. They were all clear of Bai Lan's strength. If it was just her, they wouldn't be worried. However, this Su Junqing who popped out of nowhere made them all unclear of his background. Chapter 311. This fellow Su Junqing had refined his own corpse the moment he entered the sect. This made Wolf Fong and the others filled with envy, jealousy, and fear. So Wolf Fong, who always acted alone, had no choice but to form an alliance with the Han brothers. When Bai Lan came back, Su Junqing was directing the outer sect disciples in line. "Everyone line up according to your cultivation base, starting from the highest. The 5th Qi refining layer is behind me." The disciples immediately lined up. The ones with high cultivation bases were at the front and the ones with low cultivation bases were at the back. Yun Jioga's cultivation base was at the 3rd Qi refining layer. He was in the middle with Little Fatty and Jean Lin. The Lu sisters at the 2nd Qi refining layer should be at the back, but after they joined Su Junqing, they didn't join the line, rather they stood by his side, looking very delicate. There were only a few 5th Qi refining layer cultivators in the 2nd and 3rd peaks. There were only around 20 of them. There weren't many 4th Qi refining layer cultivators, only around 100 people. Broom Chen and his subordinates were in this line. There were around 500 people at the 3rd Qi refining layer. They were the core strength, but most of them were at the 2nd Qi refining layer. After all, Yun Jioga and the others had only entered the sect for half a year. The 2nd Qi refining layer was the normal cultivation speed for normal disciples. "Little Fatty, why didn't senior apprentice brother Su bring his corpse?" Yun Jioga looked around for a while and didn't see any trace of Yunji. Logically speaking, this little mystic realm was very dangerous, so Su Junqing should have brought her along. The corpse sect's high-level disciples all have their own corpse refining bag. They normally keep their corpses in the bag like a magic weapon, only taking them out when they need to use them. Little Fatty explained. This kind of corpse refining bag was much more expensive than a storage bag. Even if a normal disciple could refine a corpse, it would be hard for them to buy a corpse refining bag. But Su Junqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, so it wasn't strange for him to have a corpse refining bag. "So it's like this." Yun Jioga looked away, looking at the dense crowd of people around him. He asked Little Fatty, "With these 5,000 people going in, wouldn't it cause the secret realm to explode? Especially those 2nd Qi refining layer disciples. They felt like they were just sending themselves to their deaths. Who knows, the information about this secret realm is top secret. Even senior apprentice brothers that came out alive are not allowed to talk about it." Little Fatty replied in a low voice. "Isn't your uncle the steward of the inner sanctum? Doesn't he have any news for you?" Yun Jioga didn't believe it. Little Fatty was so gossipy. How bad could his uncle be? He definitely had insider information. "Sigh, no matter how powerful my uncle is, he's just a steward. He wouldn't dare to say what he can't say." Little Fatty's attitude was obviously reserved. A secret that even Fatty, who was crazy for money, did not dare to divulge must be very powerful. This made Yun Jioga even more curious about the hidden territory. At this time, Su Junqing had already lined up. He turned around and saw Bai Lan returning with a dark expression. Looking into the distance, Wolf Fong and the Han brothers were looking at them with malicious intent. Needless to say, he must have angered Bai Lan. "Senior sister, are you all right?" Su Junqing and Bai Lan were on the same boat. so he naturally had to take good care of her. Those three fellows have already formed an alliance. Let's be careful when we enter the mystic realm. If there's a chance, kill the Han brothers. Bai Lan's face revealed a vicious expression. She wanted to get rid of the Han brothers not just because of the quarrel just now. More importantly, the Han brothers' talent was outstanding, and their future in the Ein Corps sect was limitless. Kicking away obstacles in their way was also a necessary skill for evil disciples. Okay. Su Junqing nodded in agreement. He looked very serious on the surface, but in his heart he did not care. His only goal in entering this little mystic realm was to collect human-faced peaches and raise Yunji's ability. If there was a chance to get rid of the Han brothers, he didn't mind lending a hand. But if he had to spend so much effort to deal with them, then forget it. Bai Lan was also very clear about Su Junqing's thoughts. She didn't really expect this guy to sell his life for her. She glanced at the Lu sisters standing not far away and asked Su Junqing ambiguously, "You like these two sisters that much? I'll keep them for later." Su Junqing did not hide his sinister intentions. Bai Lan raised her eyebrows and looked Su Junqing up and down. She smiled and said, "Junior brother sure knows how to prepare for a rainy day. I'll need senior sister to take care of me." Su Junqing smiled. "Same to you." Bai Lan drew a line on Su Junqing's chest with her finger and smiled. "If there's a chance, let's have a good spar." She was still reminiscing about the bed battle last time. "I dare not disobey senior sister's orders." Su Junqing also smiled. The Lu sisters stood not far away and saw the flirting between Su Junqing and Bai Lan clearly. Although they felt that Su Junqing had a motive for getting close to them, Su Junqing's appearance was too good, and his personality was gentle and refined. Even if they knew he was not a good person, it was hard to hate him. But now that they saw Su Junqing and Bai Lan standing together, the two sisters felt disgusted. They had a wide network of people and knew many other outer sect disciples. Naturally, they had heard of Bai Lan's plucking technique. She would often trick the male disciples she fancied into going back with her. After sleeping with them, even if they were not crippled, their cultivation would fall greatly. This caused many outer sect male disciples to tremble in fear. The two sisters were now sure that Su Junqing was probably trying to pluck them to get close to him. Lu Mer's expression turned ugly, and her beautiful eyes shone with hatred. The two sisters had suffered at the hands of the evil sect's ancestor. What they hated the most were those men who wanted to pluck them. Luton hurriedly pulled her back and shook her head slightly. Then she guided her to look at Yunjio in the group of disciples. Although all men in the world were dark, there were some who were not. For example, senior brother Yunjio's life was suppressed. So men might not have it easier than women. They also had to be careful of their chrysanthemums. Yunjio did not know that he had become the target of the Lu sisters' sympathy. She was listening to Little Fatty's story about Wolf Fong and the Han brothers with great interest. "I heard that senior brother Wolf Fong was thrown into a wolf's den when he was young and grew up with a pack of wolves. He could not speak human language even at the age of 18. That was until he saved a heavily injured rogue cultivator deep in the mountains. That wandering cultivator took him as a disciple. Not only did he teach him how to speak and be a person, he also taught him many cultivation techniques. Unfortunately, that wandering cultivator was heavily injured and died not long after. Before he died, he asked senior brother Wolf Fong to come to our Ein Corps sect. Senior brother Wolf Fong came to participate in the audition. In the end, he became the strongest outer sect disciple on the first peak. His talent was extremely high, but he liked to be alone. Although he did not have many friends, he was very loyal. He would never betray his comrades in the alliance. But if anyone betrayed him, he would chase them to the ends of the earth. At this point, Little Fatty stopped to take a breath and drink some water. What about the Han brothers? Yunjio did not wait for him to finish drinking and asked. Chapter 312. The Han brothers were also children with a hard life. Little Fatty shook his head as he told the story of the Han brothers. Although the Han brothers were farmers, they were quite well off when they were young. They had fields and land. When Han Xiaodong was 10, his parents suddenly fell seriously ill and passed away after spending all the money in the family. Misfortune never came alone. At this time, Han Xiaoxi caught a cold, but the family did not even have the money to see a doctor. Han Xiaodong sold himself to a landlord and used the money he earned to save Han Xiaoxi. Unfortunately, the family that Han Xiaodong sold himself to was not a good person. At that time, Han Xiaodong was only 10, but they ordered him around like a slave. Not only did they make him carry water and farm every day, they also made him live in a pigsty and eat pig feed. They beat and scolded him. In short, they were extremely vicious. Later, Han Xiaoxi burned down that family and brought Han Xiaodong to become beggars. Han Xiaodong's cultivation was high, and he was fierce. He never fought with his life on the line. Han Xiaoxi was sinister enough, and was best at using underhanded methods. The two brothers were very difficult to deal with. No outer sect disciple dared to offend them. Yun Jioga still wanted more after hearing this. She asked little Fatty, "What about senior sister Bai Lan?" She only knew that Bai Lan was a loose person and had a very ambiguous relationship with Su Junqing. She did not know anything else. When little Fatty heard the two words, Bai Lan, he could not help but glance at the voluptuous figure standing in front of him. Realizing that she was looking at him with a faint smile, he immediately lowered his head and said, "Senior sister Bai Lan came in through formal training. There's nothing to say." Yun Jioga also felt Bai Lan's gaze. She looked up and saw Bai Lan throwing a flirtatious look at her, as if she wanted to eat her up. Yun Jioga looked away. The feeling of being teased by a woman was really not good. It was all Zishang's fault. Because there were too many people, Zishang did not follow Yun Jioga in stealth. Instead, he entered the mark on her hand. If he saw this scene from the side, he would probably be very proud of his foresight. Senior sister is interested in Yun Jioga? Su Junqing naturally also noticed Bai Lan's gaze. "It's all right." Bai Lan smiled. Although she liked to harvest, she also looked at the person. If it was those who couldn't resist her beauty, it was normal for her to get paid for it. She didn't fall for it, and she didn't force it. If she forcefully plucked them, then she wouldn't be able to survive in the sect. Su Junqing saw that Bai Lan was interested in Yunjio and wanted to encourage her to make a move. But before he could say anything, a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy came from a canyon in the depths of the Great Barren Mountain. This was a sign that the little secret realm was about to open. Everyone, pay attention. The pocket dimension is about to open. Grab your items and stay alert. Don't go in and die. Han Xiaodong raised his voice and shouted. All the outer sect disciples immediately raised their vigilance. This small mystic realm was not a joke. It was said that many disciples had been attacked the moment they entered. Senior sister Bai Lan, it's about time to open the mystic realm. Wolf Fong walked over. In his hand was a palm-sized stone that was engraved with densely packed runes. It was the key to open the mystic realm. There were a total of 5 keys, one for each leading disciple. They had to use them at the same time to open the entrance to the little mystic realm. All right, then open the door. Bai Lan didn't dare to delay matters. Su Junqing also took out the entrance key and went to the center of the spiritual energy fluctuation with Wolf Fong and the rest. He placed the key in the shape of a 5-pointed star. Rays of black spiritual energy shot out from the key and gathered into a ray of light that was as thick as an arm and shot into the sky. A rumbling sound could be heard. The air in the Great Barren Mountain seemed to be torn apart, revealing a dark entrance. Follow the order and enter. First peak disciple, follow me. Wolf Fong led the others in. After everyone from first peak had entered, Su Junqing led the second peak disciples in. The Lu sisters naturally followed closely beside him. Yun Jioga and little Fatty also followed the group into the black hole. After passing through a long black tunnel, Yun Jioga first felt her vision go black. Then, the world spun and finally she felt like she had landed. But before she could steady herself, she heard the sharp sound of wind from above and a fishy smell rushed towards her. Yun Jioga didn't hesitate to use her sharp golden bone spur to meet it. That was the sound of a bone spur piercing through flesh. Yunjioga looked up and saw a black eagle fall to the ground with its chest pierced by a bone spur. It was the size of a 3-year-old child. Its beak and claws were extremely sharp and shone with a cold and fierce light. This kind of eagle was extremely strong and flew very fast. If one was caught by it, it could directly bring them into the sky. There was no way they could survive. F***C, this beast is too treacherous. Little Fatty stood behind Yunjioga. If Yunjioga couldn't stop this eagle, he would also suffer. Be careful, there might be danger. Yunjioga kept the bone spur and held it in her hand as she vigilantly observed her surroundings. What entered her eyes was a large brown wasteland. It was overgrown with weeds and gravel everywhere. Not far away was a large mountain. It looked close, but it would be fatal to walk to it. At this moment, the disciples behind her screamed in panic. "Ah, there's an eagle, help!" Yunjioga turned her head and saw 2 eagles in the sky, each grabbing a disciple and flying into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they became 2 small black dots. Calm down, get into formation and prepare for defense. Su Junqing hurriedly raised his bone spur and shouted. Some of the more alert disciples immediately raised their bone spurs. Seeing that there was no hope, the eagles immediately flew up into the sky. They didn't go far and just kept circling there, obviously looking for an opportunity. Su Junqing's expression was very ugly. If something like this happened just after entering the mystic realm, it would have a huge impact on the morale of the army. At this moment, a coarse voice sounded, "Senior brother Su, someone killed an eagle. Quickly come over and take a look." Yunjioga looked in the direction of the voice and immediately frowned. It was Broomchen. Broomchen warmly called Su Junqing over to take a look at the eagle that Yunjioga had killed. It was obvious that he was up to no good. Su Junqing walked over and glanced at the eagle. "Who killed it?" "It was junior brother Yunjio," Broomchen rushed to answer. Junior brother Yunjio is only at the 3rd stage of chi refinement, but he's already so strong. He should be at the front. The front was the most dangerous. "I was just lucky," Yunjioga said calmly. The eagle's attack just now was too sudden. She didn't hold back at all, so she was afraid that she would be seen through. Junior brother Yunjio is too polite. Luck is also an important part of cultivation. Why don't you go to the front and let us get some luck? Su Junqing said with bad intentions. Yunjioga really wanted to refuse, but Su Junqing was now the leader. If she didn't obey, she would become a thorn. If Su Junqing provoked her, she would be in a difficult position in the team. She might as well agree. Chapter 3:13. Since senior brother says so, I'll accept. Yunjioga said straightforwardly. Then let's go. Su Junqing was very satisfied with Yunjioga's attitude and brought her to the front. When the Lu sisters saw her, their eyes flickered and they pretended to be unfamiliar with her. Junior sister Lu, I heard that you two were close to junior brother Yunjio on the first peak. Now that he's here, you two have another backer. Are you happy? Su Junqing said with a smile. Senior brother Su, you really like to joke. With such a big backer like you, why would we look at this little sapling? Lu Tian'er said with a smile. Sister, don't talk nonsense. Lu Meng'er pulled her sister's sleeve and glanced at Yunjioga. She said with a smile that wasn't a smile, Senior brother Yunjio did take care of us in the outer sect, but we're all in the same sect, so we should take care of each other. Yunjioga's face was expressionless. She ignored these boring probing and silently walked to a corner. Senior brother Yunjio is still so boring. Lu Tian'er made a face and asked Su Junqing, Senior brother Su, do you think the grassland in front is dangerous? After passing through the wasteland, there was a boundless green grassland. The weeds there were knee-high. If there were any poisonous snakes or demonic beasts hiding there, they wouldn't be able to find them. There's only a type of rank 2 grass lizard in this grassland. As long as we're careful, there won't be any problems. The more troublesome ones are the eagle beasts in the sky. Su Junqing clearly didn't care about the grass lizard. He was more worried about the eagle beasts in the sky. These vicious and cunning things were best at sneak attacks. With senior brother Su here, what's there to be afraid of? Lu Miller said with a smile, I heard that Senior Brother's Bone Spike is a high-grade magic tool that Elder Mo Hua used in the past. Whether it's the eagle beasts or the grass lizard, they'll die if they meet Senior Brother Su. Really? Lu Tianer opened her big watery eyes and looked at Su Junqing with admiration. Senior Brother Su, can you broaden our horizons? Yes, Senior Brother Su, we haven't seen what a high-grade magic tool looks like. Lu Miller said coquettishly. Since you say so, I'll let you broaden your horizons. Su Junqing was very pleased with the flattery of the two sisters, so he took out a 3-feet-long bone spear from his storage pouch. The bone spike was blood-red in color, and there were 3 beautiful ink flowers carved on it. It exuded an eerie aura and emitted a strange light. This demonic flower bone thorn was the magic tool that Elder Mo Hua used when he was building his foundation. Not only could the demonic flower automatically attack the enemy, but it could also absorb blood to recover its spirit. The more blood it absorbed, the more ferocious the demonic flower would be. Back then, it was also famous in the Incorp sect. When Elder Ink Flower brought it over to reward Su Junqing, all the Ink Flower Peak disciples were so jealous that their eyes turned red. Su Junqing himself was very satisfied with this bone spike. Wow! The Lu sisters looked envious, but their hearts were filled with jealousy. They both used their looks to please people, but this Su Junqing obtained a Yin corpse and a treasure. How could he have such a good life? Yun Jioga silently glanced at Su Junqing's bone spike. The set of bone spikes that Zishang made for her was not inferior to this demonic flower bone thorn, and even had more runes than it. However, this magic tool had killed over 1,000 people in the hands of Elder Mo Hua, so the bloody aura on it was far inferior to Yun Jioga's bone spike. Su Junqing had Yunji, the Yin spirit Dao body, and such a powerful magic tool. Even if his cultivation was suppressed to Qi disciple level 5, he would not be easy to deal with. There's something strange about this place. At this moment, Zishang's soft voice entered Yun Jioga's ears. What's strange? Yun Jioga replied in her heart. I can't say for sure now. You have to be careful, don't be careless. Zishang's tone was very serious. Okay. Originally, when Yun Jioga heard that there was only a group of rank 2 grass lizards, she relaxed a little. Now that she heard Zishang's words, she secretly took out a bug-repellent pill, crushed it, and sprinkled it on her clothes. No, I feel that something is wrong. I have to personally investigate. Zishang said again. What? You're leaving? This little mystic realm was so dangerous. If you leave me alone, can I have fun? I will leave a restriction on your body. It can block 2 full power strikes from a Foundation establishment cultivator. As long as you don't cause trouble, you won't die. After Zishang appeared, he tapped Yun Jioga's arm. Yun Jioga felt a pain on her arm. She rolled up her sleeve and saw 2 purple flowers next to the mark. Alright, I'm leaving. Zishang seemed to be in a hurry to reincarnate, and disappeared in an instant. Yun Jioga wanted to chase after him and ask a few questions, but at this moment, Su Junqing stood up and announced that the break was over. Alright, let's go. With that said, he continued to lead the group forward. Yun Jioga had no choice but to follow. The group passed through the wasteland and arrived at the grassland. Before they even stepped in, the eagle beasts in the sky suddenly retreated. Senior Su, why did the eagle beasts run away? Lumiere raised her head to look at the eagle beasts' receding figures. Why did it feel like they were running away? In front of us is the grass lizard's territory. They probably don't dare to enter. Su Junqing randomly guessed. Before entering, every leading disciple would be given a map of the little mystic realm. On it, the danger level of each area was clearly marked. However, no one told him the details, so he didn't know either. The grass lizard should also be the eagle beast's food. Would a lion be afraid of entering the territory of a flock of sheep? Lu Tian felt that Su Junqing's words were very funny. I say, Junior Lu, Senior Su is not an eagle beast. Why are you asking so many questions? Anyway, no matter what, we have to pass through this grassland. Broom Chen said with dissatisfaction. Senior Brother Chen, What nonsense are you talking about? How can an eagle beast be as handsome as our senior brother Su? I was just curious. Why are you so anxious? Lu Tian'er didn't have a good impression of Broomchin, so she bluntly complained. Little sister, don't say any more. Right now, the most important thing is to pass through the grassland as soon as possible. Isn't that right, Senior Su? Lumina looked at Su Junqing gently. That's right, the human-faced peaches will ripen in 8 days. If we don't get there in 8 days, I don't need to say the sex punishment. Everyone knows that the Yin-Chi cemetery is very empty. Su Junqing took the opportunity to remind the disciples. Senior Su, don't worry, we will definitely be the first to reach the destination. Broomchin said confidently. These words ignited the fighting spirit of many disciples. They all shouted that they wanted to pass through the grassland and rush to the human-faced mountain. Yun Jioga stood in place with a serious expression, looking at the grassland in front of her. Although she had not entered, her heart was beating non-stop. She felt that there was danger ahead. Chapter 3:14. Let's go. We'll cross the prairie in one go. Su Junqing commanded in high spirits and led the way into the prairie. The Lu sisters, Yun Jioga, Broomchen, and the other high-level disciples followed behind him. The low-level disciples formed a long line and entered the prairie in an orderly manner. The weeds seemed to be knee-high, but they reached up to their waists after entering. The mud under their feet was also very sticky, making it very difficult to walk. The high-level disciples naturally had an easy time, but the low-level disciples had a hard time. After walking for less than 100 meters, the neat line had a gap. The rank 2 disciples at the back of the line could no longer see the figure of the leader when they looked up. Senior brother, wait for us, the rank 2 disciples shouted in panic. Wait my ass. Walk faster or you'll become food for the grass lizards. Broomchin roared in front. They hadn't encountered any attacks along the way. These disciples were clearly slacking off by walking so slowly. They had to teach them a lesson. Yun Jioga didn't think so. She hung the sharp golden bone spur in the air and walked carefully in the grass that was half the height of a person. I say, Junior Brother Cloud 9, you don't need to be so careful. The grass lizard hasn't even appeared yet, and you're already so scared. Won't you be pissing your pants later? Broomchen laughed heartily and waved his bone spear, clearing a path in front of them. Yun Jioga didn't even look at him. She was still on guard and her pace was getting slower and slower. Tee. Broomchen snorted in disdain. He was sure that Yun Jio was a coward. He ignored him and quickly followed Su Junqing's pace. Where's Yun Jio? Su Junqing asked. He peed his pants. The smell was so bad that I quickly ran away. Broomchen laughed crudely. Then you should keep an eye on him. Su Junqing gave Broomchen a warning look. Although he didn't plan on killing Yun Jio in the prairie, he still had to keep an eye on him. Senior brother is right. Should I go back and find him now? Broomchen said hurriedly. There's no need. All the disciples were walking forward. If Broomchen suddenly went against the flow, it might cause a panic. The Lu sisters silently listened to the conversation between the two, but a bad feeling arose in their hearts. Based on their understanding of senior brother Yun Jio, he was not a coward. If he was so cautious, then there was definitely something wrong with this grassland. As the two sisters thought about it, they silently raised their bone spears and joined the team that was clearing the grass. Su Junqing's plan was for the vanguard to clear a path through the grassland so that the lower-ranked disciples could walk more easily and prevent the grass lizards from suddenly attacking. However, as soon as they cleared the weeds, the disciples behind them walked past, and they were once again half the height of a person. Because the queue was too long, the flow of information remained the same. No one paid attention to such an obvious change and continued to stride forward. Some of the disciples even teased Yun Jioga when they saw her slow pace. They then quickly overtook her. Senior brother Yun Jioga, didn't you go to the front? Why are you back? Fatty was walking slowly, but he had already reached Yun Jioga's side. There's something strange about these plains, said Yun Jioga in a deep voice. Isn't it just a group of rank 2 grass lizards? With senior brother Su and the others clearing the path, we just need to take big strides forward. Fatty didn't think much of it. They had been here for so long without encountering a single grass lizard, so the disciples had completely let down their guard. Yes, we're taking big strides toward a dead end. Yun Jioga looked at the continuously growing weeds in front of her, and the feeling of unease in her heart grew stronger. She stopped and took out a bone spear with bloodthirst runes carved on it. Senior brother, did you discover something? Fatty's heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly asked. Yun Jioga didn't answer him and instead focused on the grassland not far away. She didn't know if it was just her imagination, but she felt that the grass was growing taller and closer to them. Not good, everyone be careful. Yun Jioga shouted in a stern voice. 2 bone spears immediately pierced into the ground, and when they were pulled out again, blood splashed out. Ah! Mournful screams came from the front of the group. In the blink of an eye, a dozen or so disciples shrank and disappeared into the ground. The brown soil was instantly dyed red. What's going on? Didn't they say that this is the territory of the rank 2 grass lizards? Fatty was shocked. He hurriedly took out his bone spear and pierced it into the ground. The pale yellow soil immediately turned red. A random stab could have such an effect. It was easy to imagine how densely packed the monsters underground were. These aren't grass lizards, they're blood earth dragons. Yun Jioga raised her hand and slapped the ground. The soil scattered, revealing blood-red earthworms. These earthworms were at least as thick as an arm. They burrowed in the soil, and when they grabbed a disciple and pulled him underground, they would instantly suck him dry. These were the bloodthirsty blood earth dragons. Oh my God! Fatty saw these densely packed blood earth dragons and had goosebumps all over his body. He attacked them like a madman. It's useless. These blood earth dragons are most afraid of cold air. You need to freeze them with your frost in chi palm. Yun Jioga stopped Fatty. With so many blood earth dragons, it was impossible to kill them all. The most important thing now was to safely pass through the grassland. Fatty tried to use his frost in chi palm. The blood earth dragons that were hit by his palm stopped moving, but they quickly recovered. In this situation, we can only work together and kill our way out. Yun Jioga said. Frost in chi palm was only a low-level palm technique. It was usually used to deal with in ghosts. It could slow down their movement speed. Because it only required 10 contribution points, all the outer sect disciples would learn it. Alright, I'll go get people now. Fatty took out his mountain bone spear and stabbed it into the ground. It immediately rose into the shape of a platform. He nimbly jumped onto the platform and shouted at the screaming and attacking disciples. Senior brother Yunjio has found a way to deal with these blood earth dragons. Everyone, use your frost in chi palm to slow them down. Then we can kill our way out. No one paid attention to Fatty's words. However, many clever disciples followed his example and stabbed their bone spears into the ground before jumping up. Countless bone spears rose from the grassland, each with a disciple squatting on top. The blood earth dragons could only roll on the ground. They couldn't do anything to them. However, this was definitely not a long-term plan. After all, these blood earth dragons wouldn't disperse. Once their bone spears ran out of spiritual energy, they could still be killed. Hey, did you guys hear what I said? Little Fatty shouted loudly. We didn't even have time to escape. Who has the time to listen to you? That's right. If you have something to say, spit it out. The outer sect disciples who barely survived were in the mood to talk to Fatty. Chapter 3:15. Little Fatty had no choice but to repeat. Senior brother Yunjio found a way to deal with these blood dragons. Everyone use ice palm together to slow them down, then we can kill our way out. Really? The disciples were doubtful. Don't you know how to give it a try? Little Fatty said in annoyance. Immediately, some disciples tried it and found it was effective. They all became excited. It's really effective. But the time is too short. What's the use? That's why we need to work together. Little Fatty said. How do we work together? Tell us. The low-level disciples asked. Little Fatty didn't know how. he quickly called out to Yunjioga, "Senior brother Yunjio, come up and tell us how to work together." Yunjioga went up to the high platform and said to the low-level disciples, "Everyone, don't be afraid of these blood-poison dragons. You just have to deal with the Een ghosts and take turns to use the frigid ice Een energy palm. Maintain the rhythm and defend. Yeah, we usually enter the Een graveyard. Those Een ghosts are even fiercer than the blood dragons. There's nothing to be afraid of." Little Fatty seemed to have forgotten how cowardly he was when facing the blood dragons. "Yeah, we usually kill Een ghosts wave after wave. There's nothing to be afraid of." The disciples began to encourage each other. At this time, a clear voice sounded, "Senior brother Yunjio, you killed the eagle first and found the blood dragon's weakness. Let us out. We'll listen to you." Yunjioga looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man dressed in white standing on an ice bone spike, talking to her. The youth was delicate and pretty with red lips and white teeth. He had a slim figure and clear eyes. If it wasn't for his Adam's apple, he would look like a girl. The bone spike under his feet was snow white with snowflake-like runes carved on it. It was actually a frost bone spike. In a damned place like Een Corpse sect, everyone focused on Een damage when making bone spikes. Blood Thirst, Bone Crusher, Poison Needle, and Black Chi were the most popular. Ice bone spikes like this youth were definitely rare, but they were definitely their saviors. Ice Heart Lotus is right. Right now, only senior brother Yunjio can lead us out of this grassland alive. Everyone listened to him. Little Fatty clearly recognized this somewhat girly youth. Right. Senior brother Ninth Cloud will listen to you." Su Junqing had already led the high-ranking disciples far away, and the outer sect disciples had already lost their backbone. Now that someone was willing to stand up for them, they naturally responded with a single call. Of course, as long as someone stood up for them, they would obey. It was mainly because Yunjio had killed an eagle beast when they first entered the secret realm, and he had discovered the Blood Earth Dragon's attack in advance. Now, he had discovered its weakness. All these factors convinced the disciples. "Since everyone trusts me, then I won't be polite. Let's deal with Een ghosts like how we dealt with them. 10 people in a team. It's best to have familiar people cooperate with each other. Adjust according to your own situation. Those with lower cultivation will be in a team with more people, as long as they can cooperate." Every team maintained a distance of 3 people and adjusted according to the speed of the vanguard. "Junior brother Shui, junior brother Lin, the 2 of you follow me to lead the way." Yunjioga immediately ordered. In fact, these outer sect disciples had been killing Een ghosts in the Een Chi cemetery for a long time, so their ability to fight against enemies was not weak. As long as they were given a direction, it would be fine. "Old Tai, here, we're still short 3 people. We need those with long legs and fast legs." These disciples immediately formed teams as if they were doing a mission after receiving the order. Very quickly, teams of 10 people were formed. They were not afraid of the extra. Low-ranking disciples usually formed teams of 15 to 20 people when they went to the Een Chi cemetery. Now, it was the same as usual. "Senior brother Yunjio, can we do it with just the 3 of us?" Little Fatty looked worried. The task of the vanguard was the most important. They needed at least 10 people. "As long as you don't slack off." Yunjioga glanced at Little Fatty. This guy had the support of an inner sect leader uncle, so he must have a lot of things to protect himself. "If you dare to drag us down, you're dead." Ice Heart Lotus glared at Little Fatty. This young man looked weak and had a feminine name, but his personality was very fiery. Moreover, he seemed to be very familiar with Little Fatty. Yes. "I definitely won't slack off." Little Fatty looked a little afraid of this Ice Heart Lotus. Based on his personality of sucking up to those in power, bullying the weak and fearing the strong, this Ice Heart Lotus background was not simple. Yunjioga's thoughts spun a few times, but his face did not show any expression. He ordered in a deep voice, "Junior brother Shui, use your bone spike to open a path. Junior brother Lin, use your frost Een energy palm to defend. Leave the rest to me." "Yes." Ice Heart Lotus was a straightforward person. Since he said he trusted Yunjioga, he immediately took out his frost bone spike. A snow-white icy air sprayed forward, and the undulating grassland in front of them immediately froze. The blood dragons at the side were also quite afraid of this cold air and retreated to the side. "Let's go!" Yunjioga rushed forward with Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty. Some of the higher-ranking blood dragons immediately pounced at them without any regard for their own safety when they smelled the scent of living people. However, just as they leaped out of the ground, they were nailed down by Yunjioga's bone spike. Yunjioga was also going all out. 2 black bone spikes circled around him with black shadows. Every time they circled, countless blood dragons would die. Little Fatty only needed to focus on helping Ice Heart Lotus activate the cold air. Yunjioga could also use a powerful Frost-Een energy palm to fill in the gaps if the two of them couldn't. Yunjioga's Frost-Een energy palm did not cover as large an area as others. She was very meticulous with it. If there was a gap in the path in front, she would only fill in that corner. Then she would press down with her palm and fill in the gaps in other areas. She was able to withstand 4 or 5 palm strikes from others with 1 palm strike because of her strong control ability and careful calculation of spiritual power. Ice Heart Lotus's team was very impressed. This senior brother Yunjioga could attack and defend, advance and retreat. He had no doubt that even if it was just senior brother Yunjioga alone, he would be able to kill his way out of the grassland. Yunjioga, Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty advanced at an extremely fast speed. The team behind them also followed closely. Every one of them unleashed a Frigid-Een energy palm, one after another. That icy road was maintained in a frozen state. Even if there were occasionally blood dragons that were not afraid of death that pounced forward, they would be quickly killed by the experienced disciples. As the disciples ran, they soon realized that the blood earthen dragons were nothing compared to the nether ghosts that were coming at them endlessly. With this thought, the disciples relaxed a lot and responded more flexibly. The disciples ran all the way and none of them fell behind. They smoothly entered the depths of the grassland. Chapter 3:16. Everyone be careful. The area in front is equivalent to the inner area of rank 2 ghosts. Follow the team in front and don't mess up. Yunjioga reminded loudly. When the low-rank disciples heard that it was the inner area of rank 2 ghosts, their legs began to weaken. When they fought ghosts in the energy cemetery, they never dared to enter this area. Occasionally, a rank 2 ghost would come out and they would be wiped out. But in this situation, it was impossible to retreat, so they could only brace themselves and go forward. The ground in the depths of the grassland was turbulent. The weeds were as tall as small trees. Many blood earth dragons revealed their ferocious bodies. The largest one was as thick as an adult's thigh. They had thick skin and powerful strength, making them very difficult to deal with. Ice Heart Lotus desperately waved the frost bone spikes, but the frozen ground was undulating. Yunjioga and the others felt like they were walking on a bumpy stream. They had to increase the output of their Frost-Een energy palm to ensure that the ice road wouldn't crack. Because of this, her spiritual power was quickly consumed. Dense beads of sweat appeared on Ice Heart Lotus's forehead. She quickly took the time to pour 2 spirit recovery pills into her mouth. The low-ranked disciples at the back also began to have casualties. Luckily, they were relatively calm and didn't make a fuss and disturb the team's morale. These disciples were very clear that death was normal after entering the inner area. They could only brace themselves and continue forward to have a path of survival. Yunjioga saw that this couldn't go on, so he said to Ice Heart Lotus, "You have a mutated ice spirit root, right?" "That's right." Ice Heart Lotus nodded. His spirit root would be a treasure in a righteous sect, but it was lacking in an evil sect. His cultivation method didn't match. Unfortunately, his sister-in-law was from the Corps sect, so he could only join the Corps sect. "Then do you know how to turn water into ice?" Yunjioga asked again. Of course. Ice Heart Lotus felt that Yunjioga's question was nonsense. Ice spirit root was a mutated water spirit root. How could he not know how to play with water? "All right, I will create a water path later. You can try to turn the path into ice," Yunjioga said. This was more efficient and used less spirit power. However, It was very important to control. He didn't know if Ice Heart Lotus could do it. Senior brother Yunjiu, how can we let him try at a time like this? Little Fatty hurriedly said. The entire way forward was relying on the Ice Heart Lotus's frost bone thorns to open up a path. If he pulled out halfway, he wouldn't be able to deal with it. Just do what you need to do. You don't have to worry about anything else, Yunjiu said and took out a transparent glass bottle from his storage pouch. It was filled with green mist. It looked hazy and very beautiful. What is this? Little Fatty couldn't help but ask. Exterminating spirit insects. Yunjiu had specially refined it before entering the mystic realm. Originally, he wanted to deal with the poisonous mosquitoes and other demon beasts that would appear in the miasma, but now it was more suitable to deal with the blood earth dragon. Especially now that they were on the upwind side and the wind was blowing downwards, it was simply the right time, place, and people. Exterminating spirit insects? Fatty curled his lips. The name sounded really tacky. Yunjiu ignored him and forcefully threw out the spirit insect bottle. The small glass bottle tumbled in the air. Just as it was about to hit the ground, a bone spear filled with black mist instantly pierced through it. This was Yunjiu's third bone spear, the poison gas thorn. It finally made its appearance. The green mist spread out and was restricted into a long line by the bone spurs that were constantly shuttling back and forth. Following this, the mist condensed into small green clouds and dark green raindrops began to fall. The raindrops made a sizzling sound as they landed on the ground. The previously arrogant poison earth dragon immediately turned into a pool of blood after being drenched by the dark green raindrops. In the blink of an eye, the long path had turned into a river of blood. Little Fatty's mouth was so big that an egg could be stuffed in it. My God, this exterminating spirit insects is too powerful. It was only then that Little Fatty recalled a rumor that senior brother Yunjiu was a poison master. However, after entering the sect, he was always in closed-door cultivation and didn't make any more poisons, so the rumor died down. Ice Heart Lotus couldn't help but swallow her saliva. If Yunjiu used this move to deal with them, there wouldn't be many people here who could withstand it. What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and freeze the blood. Yunjiu glanced at Ice Heart Lotus. Why was this child in a daze? Oh! Ice Heart Lotus regained her senses and immediately spat out cold air at the blood. This time, he didn't make a big move but controlled it with a purpose. The blood river slowly froze, leaving only a trace of cold air outside. Although the final path was a bit wider than before, it was still not bad. Let's go! Yunjiu used the exterminating spirit insects and the poison gas thorn to create blood rivers. Ice Heart Lotus was in charge of freezing the blood rivers. Little Fatty was in charge of killing the blood earth dragons that had fallen into the net. The low-level disciples hurriedly followed behind. Just like this, the group of people finally killed their way out of the grassland. When they saw the barren wasteland, many disciples cried tears of joy, tears of escaping death. It's not safe enough here. Let's go a bit further. Yunjiu quickly said. Now wasn't the time to relax. Who knew if those blood earth dragons would come out? Many people were already paralyzed on the ground, but when they heard her words, they immediately jumped up and continued forward. 3 miles away from the grassland, Su Junqing and the others had just stopped to rest when they heard the sound of chaotic footsteps. Go take a look. Su Junqing indicated to Brumchen. Yes. Although Brumchen was extremely tired, he didn't dare disobey Su Junqing's orders. He dragged his heavy body up a tall stone pile and looked into the distance. He was so shocked that he almost fell down. What's wrong? Su Junqing asked. I saw those low-level disciples come out of the grassland. There's about 700 of them. Brumchen said in disbelief. He thought that other than their elite team, the low-level disciples had all died in the grassland. How is that possible? Su Junqing didn't believe it. Those blood earth dragons in the depths of the grassland were all rank 2. If it wasn't for his demonic flower thorn opening the way, they wouldn't have made it out alive. It's true. If you can't, come take a look. Brumchen said. Before Su Junqing could move, The Lu sisters had already climbed up the stone pile. When they saw senior brother Yunjioga's cold demonic face, they were so excited that they almost cried. They knew that with senior brother Yunjioga's strength, there was no way he would die in the grassland. Senior brother Yunjioga, there's someone on the stone pile over there. Little Fatty shouted. It's the Lu sisters. Yunjioga's eyes were sharp. He immediately saw the ruby headdress the Lu sisters were wearing. We finally caught up with the main group. The disciples pulled themselves together and walked toward the stone pile. Soon they met up with Su Junqing and the others. Chapter 3:17. Senior brother Su, what happened to you guys? Little Fatty thought they were already in a miserable state, but Su Junqing and the rest were in an even worse state. The Lu sisters and Broom were covered in blood, exhausted, and in a sorry state. Many of them were injured and moaning on the ground. In comparison, Little Fatty, Yunjioga, and the rest were so clean that they didn't look like they had just gone through a bloody battle. Not even a drop of blood stained Ice Lotus's white robe. Although the low-level disciples behind them were in a sorry state, they were still clean. In short, they were much better off than Su Junqing and the rest. How did you guys get through the grasslands? Didn't you encounter any blood dragons? Su Junqing asked in surprise. How is it possible that we didn't encounter a blood earth dragon? If senior brother Yunjio hadn't discovered that the ice energy could slow down the blood earth dragon's movements, we would have died in the grasslands. Little Fatty was still shocked at the thought of what had happened. Even if he had thrown out the treasure his uncle had given him, he might not have been able to leave the grasslands safely. It was all thanks to senior brother Yunjio. Yeah, it's all thanks to senior brother Yunjio for saving us. Senior brother Yunjio is too amazing. Without him, we'd all be dead. The disciples discussed animatedly, all of them praising Yunjioga. The Lu sisters couldn't help but feel vexed. They should have stayed by senior brother Yunjio's side. Su Junqing vowed to be their backer, but when those poisonous earth dragons appeared just now, he ran faster than anyone else and didn't even look at the two sisters. If senior brother Yunjio hadn't given them a lot of high-level soul recovery and poison prevention pills, as well as helped them refine the earth spirit bone spikes, they would have died in the grasslands. The Lu sisters were even more dissatisfied with Su Junqing when they thought of this. If it wasn't for him being the leader, they would have immediately sought refuge with senior brother Yunjio. Su Junqing's expression was extremely ugly. As the leader, he had gone through untold hardships before finally leading the 4th and 5th level Qi disciples to a bloody path through the grasslands. In the end, Yunjio had easily rescued more than 700 low-level disciples. This was basically a slap to his face. He was just short of pointing at his forehead and calling him useless. Junior brother Yunjioga sure is lucky to be able to make it through such a dangerous grassland. We'll have to rely on junior brother's luck from now on. Broom Chen laughed heartily, attributing Yunjioga's efforts to luck. Yunjioga ignored him and asked Su Junqing, Senior brother Su, didn't you say the grasslands are the second stage grass lizards' territory? Why are there so many blood dragons? She asked not because she was doubting, but because she really felt this grasslands were abnormal. The number and level of the blood earth dragons were simply too high. If it was like this in the past, then it was impossible for the Incorpse sect not to remind them. Junior brother Yunjio, what do you mean by that? This is senior brother Su's first time entering this dungeon. How could he have known that there were so many blood earth dragons in this grassland? How can you blame him? Su Yin I Yun, Su Yun, Yun Yun Yun, Yun Yun Chi. Yunjiogo found a corner to rest when she saw that Yunjiogo was no longer in the mood to discuss these abnormalities. Broomchen felt that he had chased Yunjiogo away, so he happily called out to the disciples, "You've all worked hard. Let's rest." "I'm so tired." The disciple immediately sat down on the ground and began treating his wounds and resting. Ice Heart Lotus and Lil Fatty ran to Yunjioji's side. "Yunjiogo, do you still have more of that spirit insect extermination?" Fatty asked with a round face. Other than selling information, this guy also did some profiteering. The power of that spirit insect extermination had really opened his eyes. If he could sell it outside, it would definitely be a good price. This poison is not easy to refine. I only have a few bottles and I've used them all. Yun Jiogu wouldn't sell them even if she had them. Spirit insect extermination required 49 different poisons to refine. The process was very complicated. If it wasn't for this little secret realm, she wouldn't have refined it. Moreover, this kind of large-scale poison was harmful to the world. It was fine to use it to save one's life, but it was a sin to use it to make money. Yun Jiogu's roots were very upright. If Yun Jiogu has more good stuff like this in the future, you must inform me in advance. We can discuss the price. Lil, Fatty said unwillingly. Yun Jiogu nodded perfunctorily. The poison she concocted was for her own use and she never sold it. At this moment, Ice Heart Lotus came over and pushed Lil, Fatty away. She then asked seriously, Yun Jiogu, you usually cultivate your control. Yun Jiogu couldn't possibly tell Ice Heart Lotus that her control came from her dual cultivation with Zishang, that beast, right? That beast caught her for dual cultivation every day, but the amount of spiritual energy produced was so little. In order to escape from the abyss of suffering, she had no choice but to carefully control her spiritual energy and slowly remove the poison in her dantian. After a long period of time, this control came out. TSK, this is Yun Jiogu's unique secret. Can I tell you? Lil, the fatty thought it was inconvenient for Yun Jiogu to say it, so he quickly tried to smooth things over. I was indeed rash. Ice Heart Lotus scratched her head in embarrassment. Her naive look was much cuter than Lu Tian. Actually, it's not a secret. It's just that my method isn't suitable for you. If you want to practice, you can try condensing a ball of water on your fingertip, then add one to each finger. Yun Jiogu gave Ice Heart Lotus an idea. Although the Ice Spirit root was a variation of the Water Spirit root, Ice Heart Lotus clearly only focused on cultivating the Ice Spirit root. She had forgotten that water was the origin. Only by understanding the profound meaning of water could she use the Ice Spirit root. Alright, I'll try. Ice Heart Lotus first raised her thumb and condensed a water droplet, then her index finger. The first two fingers were relatively smooth, but when the water droplet appeared on the third finger, the first two fingers disappeared. When your 10 fingers can be as regular as the rain, that's when you'll succeed. Yun Jiogu saw that Ice Heart Lotus was a stubborn person. If she could continue cultivating like this, her cultivation would definitely improve greatly. All right. Ice Heart Lotus nodded excitedly. A blush flashed across her fair, jade-like face. It seemed that she had made up her mind to try it out. Yun Jiogu, what about me? Fatty also came over to ask. Go back and ask your uncle. Yun Jiogu glanced at him. My uncle can't cultivate. Lil, Fatty's face was bitter as he pestered Yun Jiogu. Teach me. You have the Earth Spirit root. Normally, condense a layer of Earth element under your feet to walk. When that layer of Earth element can cover your entire body, you'll be fine. Seeing that Lil, Fatty had sold quite a lot of useful information, Yun Jiogu casually gave him a few pointers. Alright. Lil, the Fatty felt that it was reasonable and quickly went to the side to try it out. Chapter 318. Although Yun Jiogu was only at the Qi refinement stage, she was already an advanced spiritualist back in the Thunder Nation. She was not far from the foundation establishment stage. Now that she was cultivating from the beginning, her comprehension was even stronger. Giving pointers to 2 Qi refinement stage 3 disciples was a piece of cake. TSK, she really thinks she's some big shot, giving pointers? Broom Chin sneered. That's right, Senior Su hasn't even said anything yet. Low-level disciples are really ignorant. The others flattered. Su Junqing did not say anything, but his gloomy expression showed that he was very unhappy. Senior Su, don't be angry. We're about to reach the black pool. When the time comes... Broom Chin smiled sinisterly. Su Junqing's expression eased up. Are you guys ready? Senior Su, don't worry. I guarantee that this kid won't be able to return. Brumchen also disliked Yunjiu. Previously, with Su Juanqing's help, he killed Fatty Chiu and became the leader of the second peak. But today, Yunjiu saved the low-level disciples from the grassland and became their savior. When they returned to the outer sect peak, Yunjiu would be the new leader. There would be no place for him. Therefore, Yunjiu had to die. Su Juanqing calmed himself down and stood up. Everyone, this is not a good place to rest. There's a small canyon up ahead. It's a safe zone. We'll rest there tonight. Yes. The disciples hurriedly answered. Although Senior Su wasn't very impressive on this grassland trip, he was still the leader and a proud disciple of the Ink Flower Peak. These low-level disciples did not dare to disobey his orders. The rest of the journey was relatively peaceful. Occasionally, a few demonic beasts would appear, but they were quickly killed by the high-level disciples. At dusk, Yunjiu and the rest finally arrived at the small canyon that Su Juanqing mentioned. Although not a single blade of grass grew here and it was completely empty, it made the disciples who had experienced the thrilling grassland feel relaxed from the bottom of their hearts. Without waiting for Su Juanqing's orders, the outer sect disciples formed groups of 10 and started a bonfire according to the group they had when they were exploring the grassland. Yunjiu kept a low profile and went to a corner. Ice Heart Lotus and little fatty Wang Lin automatically followed beside her and helped to light the bonfire like little brothers. The bonfire that Su Juanqing, the Lu sisters, Brumchen and the other high-ranking disciples made in the middle of the group was the brightest. Senior brother Yunjiu, you've always been so nice to those two sisters, but they didn't even come to greet you, little fatty grumbled, feeling sorry for senior brother Yunjiu. Yunjiu glanced at the Lu sisters. The two sisters had just found a place to freshen up. Although they had already changed into new clothes, they still looked very tired. At this moment, he was leaning against the fire, looking listless. He didn't even look in Yunjiu's direction. Before entering the small mysterious realm, Yunjiu had already told the two sisters to keep their distance. Unless Su Juanqing made a move, they would not contact him, so he was very satisfied with their attitude. Senior brother Su, didn't the sect give you a map? Tell us about the places we're going to pass by. Brumchen raised his voice and asked. Yeah, if you tell us, we can all discuss it. Even if something unexpected happens, we definitely won't blame you like some ignorant people, the other high-ranking disciples said with innuendo. Today's matter in the grassland was my fault. It caused everyone to suffer heavy losses. It's my fault, Su Juanqing first painfully reflected on his mistake. His attitude immediately made the low-ranking disciples have a good impression of him. The In Corps sect's inner sect disciples always had their eyes on the top of their heads. Even if they did something wrong, they wouldn't admit it to a low-ranking disciple. Su Juanqing's attitude was really rare. Senior brother Su, please don't say that. If it wasn't for you leading the way and fighting a bloody battle, we would already be dead. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to get here. Brumchen and the others immediately flattered Su Juanqing. When the atmosphere was almost ready, Su Juanqing then said, according to the sect's map, we still have to pass through the death swamp. This swamp is filled with miasma. Not only are there groups of poisonous mosquitoes and insects, there are also many armored crocodiles hiding there. It's even more dangerous than the grassland. Su Juanqing's expression became serious. He definitely wasn't trying to scare them. Every time they passed through this swamp, more than half of them would die. Even he had to be extremely careful. Heavens, then wouldn't we be courting death by going to the swamp? Brumchen shouted exaggeratedly. When the low-ranking disciples heard this news, they turned pale with fright. Before they entered the secret realm, there were more than 1,000 people. Now that they passed the grassland, there were only 700 people left. If the swamp was even more dangerous than the grassland, then wouldn't it be a 9 out of 10 chance of survival? Lu Tian pitifully grabbed her sister's hand. Su Juanqing couldn't be relied on. They had to think of a way to go to senior brother Yunjiu. Lu Mei patted her sister's hand. With the current situation, they could only take it one step at a time. Senior brother Yunjiu, what should we do? Little Fatty also swallowed his saliva. Although his uncle gave him a protective talisman to pass through the swamp, after the thrilling experience in the grassland, he didn't believe that this protective talisman would be effective. Listen to what he has to say. Yun Jiuge looked at Su Juanqing's expression. He didn't just say it to scare everyone. He definitely had a way to deal with it. Sure enough, Su Juanqing waited for the outer sect disciples to finish their discussion before saying, although the death swamp is dangerous, the sect has found a way to deal with it after so many years. Senior brother, hurry up and say it. At this point, no one wanted to die. Everyone listen to me. Su Juanqing gestured for everyone to calm down. After everyone quietened down, he said, if we want to successfully pass through the death swamp, we have to go to the black water pond that is 10 miles away from here to find the black crystal watergrass. This kind of watergrass can not only dispel the miasma, it can also get rid of poisonous insects. As long as you carry it on your body, even the armored crocodiles won't easily get close. Is the black water pond very dangerous? They had just experienced a huge battle and were really scared out of their wits. There is a school of second-level sharp fong fish in the black water pond, but the sect specially refined a type of pill to avoid them. If we sneak in at night, we won't encounter any danger. Su Juanqing continued. Senior brother Su, I volunteered to help everyone find the black crystal watergrass. Broom Chen stood up, instantly receiving a round of applause. Someone volunteered to do such a dangerous thing, he had to be encouraged. Junior brother Chen is indeed a good person. I have a total of 6 pills here, and you can choose another 5 people to go with you. Su Juanqing said. Junior brother Wang, junior brother Qiu. Broom Chen picked 5 of his subordinates in one breath, and finally pointed in Yun Jiuji's direction. He smiled and said, Junior brother Yun Jiu's luck is so strong, I also hope that I can benefit from his luck and help everyone bring back the black crystal watergrass. Chapter 319. When Lu Tian'er heard Broom Chen's words, she tightened her grip on Lu Mei'er's hand. She opened her mouth to say something but could not say a word. Su Juanqing and Broom Chen were obviously targeting senior brother Yun Jiu. Even if they objected, it would be useless. Instead, it would arouse Su Juanqing's suspicion. Beside the bonfire, Yun Jiugu lowered his reddened eyes. His pale face was expressionless, as if he did not know Su Juanqing was targeting him. I'll go too. Ice Heart Lotus suddenly said. Her beautiful eyes reflected the bonfire with a determined glow. Little Fatty hesitated for a moment before saying, Then I'll go too. His voice was so soft that it sounded like a buzzing mosquito. Su Juanqing frowned slightly. Although Ice Heart Lotus and Jean Lin were outer sect disciples, there were people in the inner sect. Furthermore, they were not ordinary people. It was fine if something happened to them in the grasslands, but if people knew that he had sent them on a dangerous mission, they would probably hold a grudge. He had to think of a way to stop these 2 troublemakers. At that moment, Yun Jiugu said lightly, the quality of the people for this mission is not the quantity. I'll go with senior brother Chen. Senior brother Yun Jiu. Ice Heart Lotus frowned. Could he not tell that Su Juanqing was deliberately messing with him? Perhaps they had already set up a trap at the black pool. When do we set off? Yun Jiugu looked at Su Juanqing. If Su Juanqing was leading the team personally, she would still have some reservations. Broom Chen and a few small shrimps, killing them in minutes was not difficult at all. After midnight, Su Juanqing smiled. He could not be more satisfied with Yun Jiuji's cooperation. All right. Yun Jiugu nodded. Then he said to Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty, I'm tired. I need to rest. You guys go to the side. With that said, he found a place to close his eyes. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty looked at each other. Not knowing what to say, they obediently went to the side. After Su Juanqing arranged for the patrolling disciples, he let them sleep on the ground. The night in the small mystic realm was gloomy. There were no stars or moon. The clouds were thick and there was no wind. It was so hot that it was uncomfortable. Although everyone had insect repellent on them, the dark green mosquitoes still buzzed around them. If they were accidentally stared at, they they would immediately become a blood bag. Even if they wanted to sleep, it would be very difficult. Su Junqing was also annoyed by the bugs. He opened his eyes and looked at the Lu sisters, only to see that they were refreshed and there were no mosquitoes on them. He couldn't help but wake Lu Tian'er up and ask, "Junior sister Lu, do you have any special insect repellent pills on you?" "No, we also used the insect repellent powder given by the sect." Lu Tian'er blinked her big eyes and pretended to be ignorant. There was no way she would tell Su Junqing that she had used senior brother Yunjio's bug repellent. "Senior brother, have you used up all of your insect repellent powder?" "I still have some here, senior brother, take it." Lu Miller pretended to wake up and handed over the insect repellent powder given by the sect. No need. He had a lot of these things, but they had no effect on the mosquitoes in this small mystic realm. When Su Junqing thought about how the mosquitoes would be even scarier after entering the swamp, he felt irritated. He wanted to personally go to the black water pool and bring back the black crystal watergrass. However, he had already formulated a flawless plan. He believed that Broom Chen and the others would definitely be able to kill Cloud9 and bring back the black crystal aquatic grass. Su Junqing felt much better when he thought of this. He decided not to sleep anymore and sat up to wait for the time to come. When the time came, Yun Jiuge got up on time. Many disciples also opened their eyes secretly. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty looked at Broom Chen and the others nervously. "Senior brother Su, can you give us the pills now?" Broom Chen and his 4 subordinates surrounded Su Junqing. "Keep these maps and pills well." Su Junqing took out a map and a small white jade bottle. "Senior brother Su, you can't put all your eggs in the same basket. This black water pool is so dangerous. If something happens to senior brother Chen, won't our black crystal watergrass go to waste?" Little Fatty complained, completely ignoring Broom Chen's threatening gaze. "That's right. It's better to distribute the pills now." Ice Heart Lotus also said. Su Junqing rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Junior brothers are right. Let's distribute them now." He poured the black pills in the jade bottle into his palm and said to Broom Chen and the others, "This is the qi-concealing and water-repelling pill refined by the sect. Not only can it cover up the human smell, it can also prevent water from escaping. Even if you enter the water, you won't have to be afraid of being discovered by the sharp-teeth fish." "Thank you, senior brother." Broom Chen took one. The others followed with Yun Jiuge at the back. "Junior brother Yunjio, you have to be careful during this mission. So many of our lives are in your hands." Su Junqing personally placed the black pill into Yun Jiuji's palm. "Senior brother Su, don't worry. I definitely won't let you down." Yun Jiuge said word by word in a serious tone. "Alright, it's getting late. You guys should hurry over." Su Junqing said with a smile. "Senior brother, just wait for our good news." Broom Chen cupped his hands, exchanged a look with Su Junqing, and led the others out of the canyon. Under the worried gazes of Little Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus, and the Lu sisters, Yun Jiuge silently left with Broom Chen. 10 miles away from the camp, there was a pitch-black pool of water embedded in the sunken canyon. Not a single blade of grass grew around the pool. There were no signs of humans, birds, or beasts. The pool was even darker than the night sky. It was pitch black, and even when the wind blew, it didn't cause any ripples. At this moment, Yun Jiuge, Broom Chen, and the others were standing by the side of the black pool. "Junior brother Yunjio, hurry up and eat the pill. The sooner we find the black crystal watergrass, the sooner our fellow brothers can rest assured." Broom Chen said seriously. Under the nervous gazes of Broom Chen and the others, Yun Jiuge slowly put the black pill that Su Junqing had just given him into his mouth. Then he placed his tongue on the roof of his mouth. Although Broom Chen heaved a sigh of relief, he didn't dare show it on his face. Instead, he pretended as if nothing had happened and said to the others, "Everyone relax. After eating this pill, the sharp-toothed fish will definitely avoid us. Let's hurry into the water and try to get more black crystal watergrass back." After saying that, he called out to Yun Jiuge, "Junior brother Yunjio, you go first." Their plan was to kill Yunjio in the water. If he didn't go into the water, it would be troublesome. Let's go together, Yun Jiogu said calmly. All right, then let's go together. Broom Chen nodded readily, then led the way into the pool. Junior brother Yun Jio, let's go. The other 4 disciples looked at Yun Jiogu with smiles. It was obvious that they wanted to line up behind her. Yun Jiogu didn't say anything else and went straight into the black pool. The other 4 disciples' eyes flashed with viciousness as they followed behind her into the water. Chapter 320. The water of the black pool was very cold, as if it was made of yin qi. The visibility in the water was very low, and it was as dark as the deep sea. Broom Chen took out a light blue bead from his storage bag. After inserting spirit energy into it, it emitted a faint light, illuminating the surroundings within a 10-meter radius. Yun Jiogu nimbly swam in the water, maintaining a certain distance from Broom Chen and the others. Broom Chen didn't have any intention of approaching her. He brought his subordinates to the depths of the pool and found a cluster of black water plants, emitting a gentle and beautiful light. Broom Chen shook the bead in Yun Jiogu's hand, and the light turned into a line of large words. We'll go pick it, you protect us. Yun Jiogu patted the water, indicating her agreement. Broom Chen and the others slowly sank to the bottom of the pool, and then reached out to grab the black crystal water plants and forcefully pulled them out. The originally calm water immediately began to churn, as if a slumbering monster was awakening. Following that, the water in the distance began to ripple, and countless large fish with snow-white scales swam towards Yun Jiogu. The fish's mouths were filled with fine white teeth, and it was obvious they weren't vegetarians. Broom Chen immediately inserted spirit energy into the blue bead in his hand, and a faint blue light enveloped him and his 4 disciples. Hee brat die. Broom Chen revealed a proud smile. Before Su Junqing entered the small hidden realm, he had already given them the real qi-concealing water pill. Yun Jiogu only received a normal water-concealing pill, which could only last for a short period of time, and definitely not enough for her to escape. Broom Chen thought of the bloody scene of Yun Jiogu being torn to shreds by the sharp-teethed fish, and became extremely excited. Unexpectedly, Yun Jio calmly took out a black pouch from his storage bag and shook it in the face of the sharp fang fish that were swarming towards him. Dozens of small white bones floated out, and quickly formed the skeleton of a large monkey. Following that, the soul fire in the monkey's eyes lit up, and a gray light enveloped Yun Jiogu's body. Broom Chen stared at the small white bone monkey, and clearly recognized the identity of the profound Yin white bone monkey. His heart was burning with passion. This profound Yin white bone monkey was a great helper for cultivation. If he could get his hands on it, he would be able to reach foundation building soon. Unfortunately, before he could finish his thoughts, he saw Yun Jiogu take out a faint blue stone and put it in his mouth. Then he turned and swam towards Broom Chen and the others. His speed was even faster than the sharp-teethed fish. There was a loud bang. 3 black bone spikes that flickered with different colors struck their protective shields. The barrier shook violently, and the light slowly dimmed. Yun Jiogu waved his hand again, and 3 bone spikes shot out simultaneously, once again exploding on Broom Chen and the rest's defensive barrier. This time, the light blue bead directly shattered into countless water droplets, and the protective shield also disappeared. This time, the blue pearl directly shattered into countless water droplets, and the barrier disappeared. Yun Jiogu floated in the water, her black hair swaying in the wind. Her pale face, slightly red eyes, light purple lips, and exquisite facial features made her look as beautiful as a water demon. That pair of cold eyes looked at Broom Chen and the others as if he was looking at dead people. She waved her fair palm lightly, and the 3 bone spikes turned into black smoke. They spun around Broom Chen and the others' bodies, and instantly cut open their skin. The red blood spread in the pool, immediately causing a commotion among the sharp-toothed fish. Broom Chen's eyes widened in horror. When Su Junqing gave them the pills, he repeatedly emphasized one point, and that was that they absolutely could not see blood, otherwise the effects of the pills would immediately disappear. Escape, they must escape immediately. Broom Chen took out his own bone spear, infused all of his spiritual energy into it, and dashed towards the surface of the water. The other disciples also followed suit. Yun Jioga landed in the middle of the black crystal aquatic grass and watched as they frantically fled. He slowly began to harvest the black crystal aquatic grass. In terms of concealing one's aura and avoiding water, was there anything more awesome than the mystic white skeleton monkey and the blue water crystal? Those sharp-toothed fishes ignored her and the white bone monkey, crazily chasing after Broom Chen and the others. Broom Chen and the others struggled with all their might in the water, but their flesh was still bitten off by the sharp-toothed fishes. The entire pool was dyed red with blood. In the small canyon, Su Junqing was not sleepy at all. From time to time, he would glance at the entrance of the canyon. According to his calculations, Broom Chen and the others should have completed their mission and returned. Why was there still no movement? At this moment, the patrolling disciple ran back excitedly and said, "Senior Yunjiao is back, and he even brought back a lot of black crystal aquatic grass." Just as he finished speaking, a slender figure appeared at the entrance of the canyon. He was carrying a large bundle of black crystal aquatic grass that was slightly covered in water vapor. The storage bag on his waist had a small opening, and a bundle of black crystal aquatic grass flowed out, as if it could not be filled and could not be pulled out. Senior Yunjiao is too awesome. When the disciples saw the black crystal aquatic grass, they all cheered. What did it mean for Senior Yunjiao to carry it on his back? It meant that the storage bag could not hold it anymore. These low-level disciples were previously worried that there would not be enough black crystal aquatic grass, and that they would not receive much. Now, it seemed that there was more than enough. When Su Junqing saw that Yun Jiogo had returned, he was so angry that he almost exploded. Broom Chen and the others were really useless. The trap that he had meticulously designed actually allowed Yun Jiogo to survive. Senior Su, with so many black crystal aquatic grass, we should have no problem crossing the deathly swamp, right? Lu Tiana acted as if she did not see Su Junqing's ugly expression and asked with a sweet smile. It shouldn't be a problem. Su Junqing forced a smile. Senior Su, fortunately, we did not disappoint you. Yun Jiogo threw the pile of black crystal aquatic grass in front of Su Junqing. Junior Yun Jiao is really lucky. Su Junqing squeezed out a comforting smile, then looked behind Yun Jiogo and asked, "Where are Junior Chen and the others?" Senior Chen and the others accidentally cut their hands while picking the black crystal aquatic grass and attracted a lot of sharp-toothed fish. At that time, the situation was critical, and for the sake of the bigger picture, they let me leave with the black crystal aquatic grass first. In the end, they were surrounded by the sharp-toothed fish and died in the line of duty. Not even their bones were left. Yun Jioji's face was expressionless, but his voice was filled with pain. Sob, 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 Senior Chen is really righteous. Sob, 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 we will not forget Senior Chen's kindness. The Lu sisters immediately started sobbing. All the disciples also expressed that Senior Chen had died a worthy death and that they would definitely remember it in their hearts. Pui, what do you mean by dying in the line of duty? It was clearly you who secretly killed them. Su Junqing roared in his heart, but now that the crowd was in high spirits, he did not want to pour cold water on them. He could only force a smile and say, "When we return, I will definitely report Junior Chen's heroic deeds to the sect and record their contributions." Yes. All the disciples nodded their heads, but at the same time, they were thinking, he's already dead, what's the use of recording his contributions? Chapter 321. Senior Brother Su, the dead are already dead. The living are more important. Take a look at how to distribute the black crystal aquatic grass. As Yun Jioga spoke, he poured out the black crystal aquatic grass from his storage bag. She had purposely dove into the deepest part of the black water pool and found a patch of black crystal aquatic grass that was over 100 years old. She even picked the best quality ones. Each of the black crystal aquatic grass was 3 feet long and completely black. They shone faintly even after leaving the water. It was obvious that they were of the highest quality. These black crystal aquatic grass are of high quality. Everyone only needs one. Su Junqing focused and distributed the black crystal aquatic grass. The human-sized black crystal aquatic grass was distributed to more than 700 disciples. There was still a large pile left. Su Junqing naturally had to take care of the rest. At this time, Yunjioge spoke. Why don't we give everyone one more? It's better to be prepared. That's right, there are still so many left. It's more than enough to give everyone one more. Little Fatty hurriedly agreed. The other disciples naturally agreed as well. What was in their hands belonged to them. If they left it with Su Junqing, they would have to beg him to use it. If they didn't beg, they would lose their lives. Although Su Junqing was unwilling, these black crystal aquatic grass were brought back by Yunjioge. If he wanted to distribute it, he would lose the hearts of the people if he stopped him. Alright, then everyone will take one more. Su Junqing distributed another round of black crystal aquatic grass. Finally, there were only about 10 left. He put them away with a pained expression. Then he ordered, everyone, rest for 45 minutes. Then we will head to the Deathly Swamp. The disciples carefully stored the black crystal aquatic grass in the safest place. Then they checked their storage bags. 45 minutes later, they set off on time. After Yunjioge and the others walked through a large wasteland, they finally arrived at the Deathly Swamp. From afar, it looked like an endless stretch of brown swamp. The swamp looked very calm. There were no mosquitoes, no armored crocodiles, and not even miasma. Senior Brother Su, is this the Deathly Swamp? It doesn't look very dangerous. Lu Tiana looked left and right but couldn't see the aura of death. There must be a reason behind this. Everyone be careful. After the blood earthworm in the grassland, Su Junqing didn't dare to underestimate this swamp. After he took out the demonic flower bone spur, he thought that it wasn't safe, so he opened a small red pouch covered with runes. A beautiful woman wearing a red palace dress appeared beside him. The girl's face was pale, her eyes were lifeless, her eyebrows were like a painting, and there was a very eye-catching red mole. It was Yi Yunji that had been refined into a Yin corpse. Senior Brother Su, is this your life source Yin corpse? It's so beautiful. Lu Tiana praised. Now is not the time to worry about this. Everyone, when we enter the swamp, don't panic. Follow me closely. Su Junqing ignored Lu Tiana's words and instructed the disciples on the matters to take note of when entering the death swamp. Although Su Junqing liked to be flattered, he was very low-key in front of Yi Yunji. If he wasn't worried about getting injured in the swamp, he wouldn't have let Yi Yunji out. Yunjioge's pupils constricted when he saw Yi Yunji. Resentment rushed to his head from the bottom of his heart. If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't change her expression after being poisoned, her face would have been terrifying. Senior Brother Yunjioge, what's wrong? Little Fatty noticed the change in Yunjioge's mood. It's nothing. Yunjioge looked down, hiding the anger in his eyes. You also feel that this swamp is very strange, right? Little Fatty said to himself. He thought that he would see a swamp filled with miasma, mosquitoes flying, and armored crocodiles everywhere. He never thought that it would be this quiet. Anyone would feel that something was wrong. We still have to go in no matter how strange it is, there's no point in talking about it. Yunjioge lightly replied. Junior Brother Yunjioge is right, we've already come this far, there's no point in being afraid. Everyone has high-level black crystal watergrass, so as long as we're careful, there won't be any problems. Remember to follow me closely. Su Junqing took out a yellow bead from his storage bag. This was the Earth Spirit bead. It was specially used to test whether it was possible to walk in the swamp. He saw him pour his spirit energy into the Earth Spirit bead and an earthy yellow light filled the air. Some places were very dark and some places were very thin. The dark places were possible to walk, while the thin places were the swamp. With this Earth Spirit bead, everyone successfully walked into the swamp. Yi Yunji walked quietly beside Su Junqing. Her red satin shoes were covered in a faint layer of gray air, making it seem like she was floating on the ground. Little Fatty's eyes lit up when he saw this. Previously, Senior Brother Yunjioge had reminded him to gather earth element under his feet, but he had never understood it. Now, he suddenly understood. A layer of yellow light appeared under his feet, making it much easier to walk on the muddy path. Use it sparingly, you don't have enough spirit energy, Ice Heart Lotus reminded him. This was not the time to cultivate. Oh! Little Fatty also realized that his spirit energy was depleting quickly, so he immediately stopped cultivating and focused on following the path that Su Junqing had created. From the outside, the swamp looked very calm, but once they entered, they realized that it was extremely hot and stuffy. It was like a steamer, making it hard for them to breathe. Sweat kept flowing out, and even drinking water was useless. The path was terrifyingly calm, as if they were walking in a graveyard. There was no sound at all, not even the sounds of insects, fish, birds, or beasts. Senior brother Yunjioga, something doesn't seem right. Little Fatty looked left and right, feeling a chill run down his spine. Yunjioga had been observing the swamp the whole time. When he heard Little Fatty's words, he took out a white feather-like leaf from his storage bag and threw it on the swamp. "What is this?" Little Fatty asked curiously. "This is a white feather leaf, a medicinal herb used to dispel moisture. It can float on water and not sink," Yunjioga explained simply. "Then why did you throw it here?" Little Fatty didn't understand what dispelling moisture had to do with the swamp. "You'll understand later." Yunjioga didn't explain and continued walking with Su Junqing. After walking through another 2 swamps, Little Fatty finally understood what Yunjioga meant. The white feather leaf that he had thrown out earlier appeared in front of him again. "We've been walking in circles," Little Fatty cried out involuntarily. Su Junqing's expression turned ugly when he saw the white feather leaf. If it wasn't for Yunjioga's probing, he would probably have continued to lead the group in circles. "Senior brother Yunjioga, have we encountered a ghost wall?" "Then what should we do?" The disciples were all panicking, and all of them went to ask Yunjioga, leaving Su Junqing to the side. "This isn't a ghost wall, it should be some kind of illusion technique. As for how to break it, we'll need to borrow senior brother Su's earth spiritual bead." Yunjioga looked at Su Junqing indifferently. She couldn't open her spiritual eye, so she could only rely on external objects. Chapter 322. Su Junqing's expression changed, but he still obediently took out the earth spirit bead. After Yunjioga injected spirit energy into the earth spirit bead, he first sent earth spirit energy in all 4 directions. Following that, he took out a red pill the size of a thumb, crushed it, placed it in his palm and blew it. The red powder drifted away along with the earth's spiritual power and finally gathered in a direction in the west and stopped moving. "I never expected the fantasy-breaking pill to be used like this. What an eye-opener," Ice Heart Lotus said emotionally. His sister-in-law was a level 4 alchemist of the Een Corpse sect. He had been by her side since he was young and thought that he had seen a lot. He never expected that he would gain new knowledge today. "Everyone, attack that place with me." Yunjioga was the first to raise a black bone spike and attack the place where the red powder was gathered. Su Junqing also raised his demonic flower bone spike and turned into a black stream of light that followed behind Yunjioga's bone spike. Amidst the rumbling, a dark green flower suddenly appeared in the originally empty place. The stamen of the flower was in the shape of a bloody mouth and it was constantly breathing out black mist. Su Junqing pinched his fingers and the 3 black flowers on the demonic flower bone spike flew out and tore the strange green flower into pieces. After the illusion was dispelled, the real death swamp appeared in front of everyone. Rolling reddish-gray mist instantly appeared with mosquitoes flying around. The armored crocodiles were at their feet in the swamp, waiting for them to fall into the pot with their mouths wide open. A disciple accidentally fell into the swamp in a panic and was immediately drowned by the armored crocodiles. Yunjioga reacted quickly and shot out a inchi rope to pull the person up. In the end, the area below his waist was badly mangled by the armored crocodiles. Many disciples turned pale with fright when they saw the bloody scene. The group began to panic. "Everyone has the black crystal watergrass on you. These armored crocodiles will not approach you. Just hold your ground." Su Junqing tried to calm the disciples, but no one cared about him. Form groups of 10 and look out for each other. Pay attention to where you step. If you can't cross it, use the frigid frost-in energy palm to seal off the path. We've already made it through the grasslands, so this little swamp is nothing. Yun Jioga concentrated his energy into his dantian and his clear voice entered everyone's ears. Don't be afraid. Senior Yun Jio will definitely lead us through this. Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus comforted. The disciples immediately quieted down. Only then did they realize that the black crystal watergrass on them was emitting a black mist with a fishy smell. Not only did it isolate the red miasma, but it also prevented the mosquitoes from approaching. The armored crocodile also seemed to be quite afraid of the black mist. Yun Jioga seemed to have forgotten that the Earth Spirit Pearl was borrowed from Junqing. He injected spirit energy into it and continued forward after confirming the path. Yun Jioga seemed to have forgotten that he had borrowed the Earth Spirit Bead from Su Junqing. He inserted his spiritual power into it, and after confirming the route, he continued moving forward. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty guarded her vigilantly, intentionally or unintentionally cutting Su Junqing apart. Su Junqing's face darkened, but she didn't mention anything about taking it back. Now that the disciples generally believed in her, it was useless to take it back. Yun Jioga led the way while Ice Heart Lotus used her frost bone spike to create an ice path. The disciples behind him used their frost-in energy palms to slowly advance on the ice path. Yun Jioga led the way. Ice Lotus used frost bone spikes to form an ice path. The disciples behind him used frost-in palm and slowly advanced. Occasionally, disciples would be dragged into the water by the armored crocodiles. But overall it was rather smooth. Yun Jioga saw that the yellow mist had condensed into a large patch in front of him. It was obvious that there was a piece of solid ground for him to rest on. Yun Jioga saw the brown mist condense in front of them. It was obvious that there was a piece of land for them to rest on. The land was about an acre wide. The brown soil was very hard. It was isolated from the surrounding swamp. It must have been condensed by the disciples of the past. Junior Yun Jio. Su Junqing was about to retrieve the Earth Spirit Pearl. Suddenly, screams and the sound of the armored crocodiles chewing on bones came from the east of the miasma. Not only that, but they were also shooting out bone spikes. The reddish-gray miasma stirred. It was obvious that an intense battle had taken place. The disciples of the other outer sect peaks have been attacked. Yun Jioga looked in that direction. He had no idea which outer sect peak it was. Little Fatty's heart sank. He really wanted to say that they should avoid it. They had a competitive relationship with the other outer sect disciples. It was good enough that they didn't hit them when they were down. Saving them was impossible. Who's in front? At this moment, a sharp female voice came from the front. It was Bai Lan's voice. Senior Sister Bai Lan, how are you guys? Su Junqing was delighted. Help had finally come. We've encountered a group of armored crocodiles. Junior Brother Su, hurry and bring people to help us. Bai Lan's voice was anxious. It looked like she couldn't hold on much longer. Junior Yun Jio, why don't you come with me to save them? Su Junqing said. The disciples here need me more. Yun Jioga rejected decisively. Previously, she gave Su Junqing face because she didn't want him to have an excuse. Now that the disciples were on her side, there was no need to put on an act. Su Junqing's face turned cold. He didn't continue persuading her. He only looked at the remaining Qi disciple level 5 disciples and the Lu sisters. Which one of you will come with me? The disciples all lowered their heads and pretended to be tired. The Lu sisters said pitifully, Senior brother, the two of us can't even protect ourselves. How can we save people? Good. You're all good. Su Junqing nodded viciously and turned to leave. Yi Yunji floated leisurely behind him, her red sleeves gradually disappearing into the miasma. Senior brother Yun Jio, senior brother Su seems angry. Little Fatty was a little worried that Su Junqing and Bai Lan would come back and cause trouble. We'll deal with it when it comes. Yun Jioga wasn't afraid of them. Not long after, Su Junqing brought Bai Lan and the rest to this small piece of land. There were originally 1,000 disciples on peak number 3. Now there were only 300 or so left. None of the rank 2 disciples were left. Apart from Bai Lan, the 300 people were all in a sorry state. They all had injuries on their bodies. It was obvious that they had experienced countless bloody battles. Junior brother Su is really capable. Bai Lan looked at the remaining 700 people on peak number 2. She was extremely shocked. This time, when they entered the small mystic realm, the situation they encountered was completely different from what the sect had provided. There was danger everywhere. She had relied on a rank 3 corpse Chi ghost lantern to protect so many high-level disciples. She had thought that her losses on peak number 3 were already considered low. She didn't expect Su Junqing to have even fewer. But the strange thing was that quite a few of Broom Chen's high-level disciples had died, but 2/3 of the rank 2 disciples had survived. It seemed like there was something fishy going on. Chapter 323. Senior sister, you must be joking. I don't have that ability. It's all thanks to junior brother Yunjiu. If he hadn't brought back a batch of high-grade black crystal aquatic grass from the black pool, we probably wouldn't have crossed the swamp so easily, Su Junqing said with a faint smile. High-grade black crystal aquatic grass? Bai Lan's eyes immediately lit up. They had previously gone to search for black crystal aquatic grass, but unfortunately, they had only brought back ordinary ones. As a result, they had lost dozens of people the moment they entered the swamp. If they had high-grade black crystal aquatic grass to protect themselves, they would be able to survive. That's right. Each disciple gets 2. I still have 10 left. Senior sister Bai Lan, take them if you want to use them. Su Junqing readily took out the black crystal aquatic grass. 10 was obviously not enough. Bai Lan immediately cast her gaze on the low-grade disciples and ordered, "Take out the aquatic grass." The low-grade disciples on peak number 2 had a change in expression. They looked at Su Junqing, only to see him smiling mockingly. He had no intention of standing up for them. Clearly, he was still holding a grudge against them for not giving him face. Do you want the grass or your life? Choose. Bai Lan raised her bone spear and aimed it at the low-grade disciples. The 300 or so high-grade disciples behind her also revealed ferocious expressions. They looked like they would snatch the grass at any moment of disagreement. Senior sister Bai Lan, let's talk this out. There's no need to resort to violence. Yunjioga raised his black bone spear and stood in front of Bai Lan. Junior brother Yunjiu is going against us. Bai Lan narrowed her eyes, overflowing with killing intent. The black crystal aquatic grass was related to their lives. Even if they had to kill someone, they had to snatch it back. Senior sister Bai Lan, you misunderstand. We are all from the same sect, so we naturally have to help each other. Yunjioga knew that falling out with Bai Lan would only result in both sides suffering. When that happened, the low-grade disciples would be the ones to suffer. He turned to the low-grade disciples and said, "Everyone hand over the extra black crystal aquatic grass to me." This meant that he wanted to stand up for them. Here. Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus were the first to hand over their extra black crystal aquatic grass. The other disciples also handed in their weapons. They purposely kept the good ones and handed in the damaged ones. After Yunjioga collected the black crystal aquatic grass, he counted the number of people on Bai Lan's side, and then took out the worst 350, handing it to Bai Lan. This is a token of our Mountain Number 2's disciples' appreciation. Please accept it, senior sister. Yunjioga emphasized the words all the disciples. Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus, and the rest stood behind her with wary expressions. The rank 2 disciples gripped the bone spears in their hands, looking like they were ready to fight to the death. Bai Lan narrowed her slender eyes and stared at Yunjioga. The expression on Yunjioga's devilish face was normal, and he was not at a disadvantage when confronting Bai Lan. Senior sister Bai, if you have something to use, then use it. Let's all take a step back. That way, it'll be easier for us to meet in the future. Yunjioga said coldly. Evil disciples also had to pay attention to morality. The other party had already offered their benefits, but you still wanted to dig up the other party's secrets. Don't blame the other party for risking their lives. Fine, you win. Bai Lan evaluated the strength of the two sides and found that she did not have the advantage. She could only fiercely take out the black crystal aquatic grass. Senior sister Bai is too polite. Yun Jioga did not care about Bai Lan's anger at all. Bai Lan distributed the black crystal aquatic grass. The disciples with high cultivation bases took the best and the disciples with low cultivation bases took the worst. The remaining disciples of the third peak had the lowest cultivation base at the third level of Qi disciple. There were a few of them who secretly looked at the low-level disciples of the second peak, clearly not having good intentions. The low-level disciples had been moving in a group the entire time, but seeing these evil gazes, they hugged even tighter. Bai Lan did not care about the actions of these disciples. She enviously said to Su Junqing, "Your Yin corpse is really not bad." If it wasn't for Yi Yunji spitting out the Yin spirit cold Qi to scare away those armored alligators, another group of disciples of the third peak would have died. It would be great if she could have a Yin corpse like this. Senior sister is too kind. Su Junqing humbly said. I heard that she has a little brother called Yiyu? Bai Lan lowered her voice. This news was not a secret in the Yin Corpse sect. Many people had secretly gone to the Thunder Country to find Yiyu. It was a pity that none of them succeeded. It was said that he went with Yun Jioga to the 10,000 mountains to find an opportunity. That's right. Su Junqing nodded. I heard that blood-related people have the easiest physique. You are most familiar with the Yi clan. Why don't you tell senior sister some information? Senior sister won't forget your kindness. Bai Lan said with a charming gaze. Senior sister, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's that I don't know where Yiyu went. Su Junqing had a helpless expression. He already knew that the chances of him taking down Yiyu was very small. This was because even Elder Mo Hua had sent people to the 10,000 mountains to find him. The two of them were focused on their conversation and didn't notice that Yi Yunji's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Her red sleeves were tightly clenched. Yun Jioga had been secretly paying attention to Yi Yunji's movements, so he naturally noticed her abnormality. It seemed that Yiyu was indeed Yi Yunji's reverse scale. Even though the power of the treasure map had been sealed, it still affected her. Yun Jioga was afraid that Su Junqing would notice Yi Yunji's abnormality, so he hurriedly said, Everyone is almost done resting, let's get ready to set off. Junior brother Su, there aren't many disciples left on both sides, why don't we join together? Bai Lan took the initiative to suggest to Su Junqing. The remaining disciples on peak number 3 were all high-level disciples. After joining peak number 2, they would naturally be able to crush those low-level disciples. Su Junqing was about to agree when he heard Yun Jioga say, There's no need. You go your own way, I'll go mine. It's best if we don't interfere with each other. Why, are you in charge of peak number 2 now? Bai Lan raised her brows and glanced at Su Junqing. Before Su Junqing could say anything, all the disciples on peak number 2 responded in unison, We'll listen to senior brother Yun Jioga. Su Junqing's earlier actions had already bitterly disappointed them, not to mention that Yun Jioga had helped them through this entire journey. No wonder. Senior sister Bai, as you can see, I've been robbed of my power. Su Junqing laughed coldly, but he was in no hurry. The true danger of the little secret realm was with the human-faced peach. Even if Yun Jioga took the position of leader, he would not be able to deal with it. Junior brother Yun Jioga is really bold, but I like it. Bai Lan threw a no at Yun Jioga. After relieving her worries, she was finally in the mood to flirt with men. Yun Jioga faced her coldly and did not reply. He called for Ice Heart Lotus, Little Fatty, and the rest to prepare to set off. Junior brother Yun Jioga, are you really not coming with us? Bai Lan asked, unwilling to give up. She also could not understand why junior brother Yun Jioga would be so protective of those low-level disciples when they were all trash. Yun Jioga used his actions to express himself, leading the disciples on peak number 2 in another direction and leaving. Chapter 324. Tisk, junior brother Su sure has a good temper. Are you really going to let an outer disciple walk all over your head like that? Bai Lan felt that Su Junqing was really a coward. He couldn't even watch over the disciples he was leading. What else could he do? Picking the human-faced peaches is the most important thing. When the time comes, he'll understand. Su Junqing laughed coldly. That's true. Bai Lan looked at the disciples behind her. She didn't know how many of them would survive the last round. After Yunjioge and the rest left Su Junqing and Bai Lan, they successfully left the Death Swamp and arrived at the human-faced mountain. The human-faced mountain was hundreds of zhang tall. The mountain rocks were black with traces of blood. From afar, it looked like the face of a man in deep thought. It was a rather handsome man's face. The human-faced peach forest grew on the top of the man's face, which was the peak. Everyone be careful. Yunjioge had thought that climbing the mountain would be another adventure. He didn't expect to reach the peak so smoothly. A cool breeze blew. At a glance, there was a lush peach forest. These peach trees weren't tall, and their leaves weren't lush. However, they were quite good at fruit. Green peaches the size of a human head hung from the branches. They didn't seem to be fully ripe yet. When Yunjioge and the rest entered the peach forest, the originally quiet peach trees seemed to be startled awake. Following that, the peaches all trembled slightly. Faces appeared on them, opening their eyes and looking at them greedily. Among them were wrinkled old men and women, young men and women with smooth skin, and adorable little children. Although there were all kinds of faces, all of them had a ferocious expression. They looked at Yunjioge and the rest like they were looking at prey. These peaches looked so disgusting. Lu Tian'er had a look of disgust. She couldn't imagine how she was going to swallow them. Senior brother Yunjio, should we pick them now? Little Fatty didn't find it disgusting. As long as it was helpful for cultivation, he could swallow it no matter how disgusting it was. However, these human-faced peaches were mainly for corpses. Living people couldn't eat them. Everyone, check the surroundings carefully. See if there are any demonic beasts guarding. Yunjioge felt that this human-faced peach forest wouldn't be so simple. She led Little Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus and company around twice but did not discover any traces of demonic beasts nearby. The entire peach forest was even quieter than a graveyard. Senior brother Yunjio, the people from Peak 1, Peak 4 and Peak 5 are here, Lu Tian'er said, pointing at the foot of the mountain. Yunjioge walked over to take a look and saw that a large group of outer court disciples had already arrived at the foot of the mountain and were preparing to climb up. Senior brother Yunjio, let's hurry up and pick the peaches. Little Fatty said anxiously. Otherwise, it would be another round of fighting once the other disciples arrived. There's no rush. I'll try picking one first. Yunjioge took the lead. She first summoned 3 bone spikes and placed them around her body. Then, she carefully walked towards the human-faced peach. Finally, she chose one that looked like a beautiful peach and slowly stretched out her hand. But before she could even touch the peach, she was hit by a stone. Yunjioge turned his head to look and saw a figure standing on the peach tree. He had gray hair and gray eyes, and there was a drop of blood between his eyebrows. He was beautiful yet strange. Who else could it be but Teacher Zishang? Reaching out to pick it? You're too daring. Zishang came to Yunjioge's side and tried to grab her waist. Why are you here? Yunjioge slapped Zishang's hand away. This guy had mysteriously slipped away halfway. If he didn't give her an explanation, he wouldn't be able to get close to her. I found something good here. You'll definitely like it. Zishang blinked his gray eyes, looking as if he wanted to know. How do you know I'll like it? Yunjioge rolled her eyes. If you want to say it, then don't. Are you really not going to ask? These human-faced peaches are very interesting. Zishang continued to tempt her. Such a large peach forest is right here. Can't I find it myself? Why would I ask you? If he couldn't find it, then so be it. In any case, she wouldn't let Zishang do as he wished. TSK, little Jioge is getting less and less cute. Zishang shook his head. This girl was getting harder and harder to please. It's better if you don't love me. Yunjioga was so focused on bickering with Zishang that she forgot that Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus were bitterly waiting for her to pick the peaches. Senior brother Yunjio can't be possessed, right? Ice Heart Lotus said worriedly. Don't worry. I'll try using a big move. Little Fatty was an impatient person. He immediately raised his mountain bone spike and flew towards Yunjioga. Yunjioga subconsciously released a gray light, sending Little Fatty's mountain bone spike flying. Plop. The peach on the head of an old man with a face full of wrinkles fell to the ground after being cut off by the mountain bone spike. Yunjioga was about to pick it up when Zishang pulled her back. The next moment, the old man's eyes turned blood red. He flew towards Little Fatty at an unbelievable speed. Be careful! Ice Heart Lotus pushed Little Fatty away and raised her frost bone spike. She had been condensing ice to help everyone on their journey. Her speed had also been trained. The cold air instantly froze the old man's head. F***CK, what kind of freaking peach is this? It can even fly. Little Fatty still had a lingering fear. He felt that the peach was no better than a demonic beast. Just as he finished speaking, Ice Heart Lotus suddenly shouted, "Not good!" The human-faced peach actually broke through the ice seal and pounced on a low-level disciple. It opened its bloody mouth and bit down. That low-level disciple didn't even have time to scream before he was sucked dry and turned into a piece of human skin. After the old man's head sucked its fill of flesh and blood, it closed its eyes. Its expression became incomparably peaceful. The greenish-white skin turned bright red, and a ripe fragrance wafted out. Is this why you didn't let me pick the peach? Yunjioga's expression was solemn. She didn't expect that the ripe human-faced peach would actually devour a person's flesh and blood. That's right. Zishang nodded. Senior brother Yunjio, this peach is too evil. The Lu sisters looked at the densely packed faces in the peach forest. They only felt their stomachs churning. It was incomparably disgusting. Jean Lin, what's going on with me? Yunjioga looked at Little Fatty. She didn't believe that Little Fatty didn't know the truth behind the human-faced peach. I really didn't know that this human-faced peach could actually eat people. My uncle only said that every year when the outer sect disciples enter the little secret realm, they have to pick 500 human-faced peaches. If they don't pick enough, they won't be able to open the little secret realm. Little Fatty was so scared that his round face turned pale. His uncle had only given him a stack of defensive talismans and told him to take it easy and just hang on until the end. My sister-in-law also said the same thing. Ice Heart Lotus also had quite a number of defensive talismans on her. Yunjioga frowned. She finally understood why so many low-level disciples entered the little secret realm to pick human-faced peaches. They were using human lives to speed up the ripening of the peaches. The Een Corpse sect was truly evil. They didn't care about human lives at all. Chapter 325. You weren't the one who let them in. Don't push the blame onto yourself. Zishang rubbed Yunjioga's head. As long as this little head was fine, nothing else mattered to him. You're not a good person either. Yunjioga glared at him. Of all the demons and ghosts, demons were indeed the worst. Just look at Zishang and you'll know. Zishang rubbed his nose and silently retreated to the side. A woman who liked to vent her anger on others was not to be trifled with. Woo, senior brother Yunjio, we don't want to die. Many of the rank 2 disciples began to cry. They had gone through so much to get here, but they had not expected that they would become nourishment for the human-faced peaches. This was too cruel. Don't worry, I won't feed you to the human-faced peaches. These low-level disciples were from the same sect as her. They had always been cultivating honestly and had never made any mistakes. They should not die here. That's not up to you to decide. A loud voice rang out from behind Yunjioga. Yunjioga turned around and saw that Wolf Fong and the Han brothers had brought the outer sect disciples over. Although the 3 of them had encountered danger after entering the pocket dimension, they had always been cautious. Thus, their losses were not too great. Basically, each of them had left behind 500 disciples. Adding up to 1,500 people, They were able to completely crush Yunjioga's group. What is the meaning of this, senior brother Han? Yunjioga looked coldly at the incoming group. Where's senior brother Su? Han Xiaoxi did not answer the question. He looked left and right and did not see Su Juanqing's figure. Could it be that he had died? That was impossible. That brat had obtained many benefits from Elder Mo Hua, and he also had the Yin corpses protecting him. Even if they all died, he would not die. Senior brother Su and senior sister Bai Lan are behind. Yunjioga replied lightly, then asked, how does senior brother Han plan to pluck the human-faced peaches? She did not believe that the disciples behind the Han brothers would be willing to die. Hee. Han Xiaoxi glanced at Yunjioga and the rest with a malicious look. Naturally, the weaklings will go first. What he meant was that he wanted to force Yunjioga and the rest to go first, so that they could sit back and reap the benefits. Dream on. Ice Heart Lotus was enraged. Frost Bone Spikes burst out with Yin Qi. Little Fatty and the Lu sisters also took out their bone spears. Junior apprentice brother Bing, junior apprentice brother Jean Lin, junior apprentice brother Yunjio, and junior apprentice sister Lu, there's no need to be so angry. The weaklings I'm talking about aren't you guys. Why don't you all come over to our side? When the time comes, everyone will hand over the human-faced peaches together and the sect will split the rewards together. Han Xiaoxi chuckled, planning to split Bing Xinlian and the others up. The disciples of peak number 2 became nervous. They were afraid that Ice Lotus and senior brother Yunjio would really abandon them. Yunjioga nodded and said, senior martial brother Han is right, the weak go first. Senior brother Ninth Cloud. Ice Heart Lotus widened her eyes in disbelief. She could not believe that the person she admired would be so heartless. Yunjioga ignored him and continued to speak to Han Xiaoxi. So, you guys go first. What? Han Xiaoxi thought he had misheard. Didn't you say that weaklings go first? Yunjioga raised his eyebrows and glanced at him with disdain. Then why don't you hurry up and go in to pick the peaches? Before Han Xiaoxi could regain his senses, the disciples of peak number 2 were already cheering. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty even pointed their middle fingers at Han Xiaoxi excitedly. Coward, weakling, you guys go first. I say, junior brother Ninth Cloud, are you blind or did a donkey kick you in the head? Can't you tell who's the weak one? Han Xiaoxi was so angry that he laughed. Ignoring the strength of the two brothers and Wolf Fong, the disciples behind them had all been eliminated through several dangerous situations. Even the weakest among them was Qi Refinement Level 3 and their battle abilities were very strong. Although there were more than 700 disciples on peak number 2, more than half of them were stage 2 disciples. How could they fight against them? Of course, Yunjioga was not kicked by a donkey. At that moment, Zishang was squatting on a tree not far from Wolf Fong and the Han brothers. With a single command from her, she could chop off their heads and feed them peaches. However, Yunjioga did not want to do that. She took out her bone spear and said to the Han brothers, "We'll know who's stronger after a battle." "Alright then, let us fight you." Han Xiaodong jumped out first. 2 against 1. Aren't you too shameless? Ice Heart Lotus said angrily. We brothers have always fought together. If you're afraid of death, just admit defeat. Although Han Xiaodong looked like a butcher, he was actually very cunning and never underestimated his enemies. No matter who he faced, he would fight together with his brothers. Senior brother Ninth Cloud, I'll fight with you. Ice Heart Lotus pulled out her bone spear, looking full of fighting spirit. There's no need. Stand down. Yunjioga had her own reasons for challenging the Han brothers. She was not acting on impulse. Junior brother Ninth Cloud, you have guts. Han Xiaodong gave a thumbs up. Before he finished his sentence, a bone spear that looked like a dog beating stick smashed towards her face. Han Xiaoxi also took out his bone spear to seal off Yunjioga's path. The two brothers attacked without even saying a word. They were extremely despicable. If it were anyone else, they would have fallen for it. Thankfully, Yunjioga was prepared. With a wave of her psychedelic bone spear, a black mist instantly spread and covered her figure. The Han brothers immediately became cautious when their attacks missed. They immediately recalled their bone spears and carefully examined the black mist in front of them. Zishang, come in. Yun Jioga silently called out to the mark. What's the matter? Zishang jumped into the black mist from the tree. When I attack later, help me hold the Han brothers in place. However, don't let them notice anything amiss. Yun Jioga did not have time to waste with the two brothers. She had to strike them with one strike and completely scare them. However, she could not do it with her current strength. She could only ask Zishang for help. Where's the reward? Yun Jioga had not asked him for help in a long time. He would be a fool if he did not seize the opportunity to ask for the reward. For you. Yun Jioga generously wrapped her arms around Zishang's neck and kissed him on tiptoe. Zishang's left hand embraced her waist and deepened the kiss while his right hand groped her body. The Han brothers never expected their opponent to be in the mood to hide in the black mist and kiss in such a tense battle atmosphere. Furthermore, his actions were getting more and more erotic. Xiaoxi, why don't we force our way in? Han Xiaodong looked at the calm black mist solemnly. The bone spear in his hand shone with a cold light. Back when he and his younger brother wandered about, they were chased by people and dogs. They had suffered countless hardships, so when he was refining his bone spear, he subconsciously refined a dog-beating stick. Let's go. Han Xiaoxi nodded without hesitation. Chapter 326. The Han brothers were tough. No matter what kind of strong opponent they faced, they would always attack, and attack. Not to mention that their current opponent was only an outer disciple at the third stage of Qi disciple. If they still cowered like this, wouldn't they be a laughingstock? The two brothers raised their bone spikes at the same time and attacked the black mist one after the other. Inside the black mist, Yun Jioga was dizzy from Zishang's kisses and was desperately trying to push his chest away. This guy was really insatiable. She just wanted to kiss him once, and he actually stuck his tongue in. Now, he was still hugging her tightly and wouldn't let go. Now that the Han brothers were here, what did he want? Zishang was addicted to kissing her and couldn't bear to let her go. His left hand tightened and his right hand waved casually. The black mist from the bone spikes expanded and instantly engulfed the Han brothers. Then Yun Jioga's 4 bone spikes, bone breaker, hallucination, venom, and bloodthirst, shot out terrifying rays of light and sent the Han brothers flying. The Han brothers fell face down and dug 2 deep ditches in the ground. Finally, they crashed into the rock wall and fainted. Silence. Deathly silence. Ice Heart Lotus and Fatty's cheers were stuck in their throats. The Lu sisters' eyes widened and they looked like they were about to explode. Wolf Fong stared at the 4 bone spikes hovering above the black mist. Although they were beyond recognition, he could still recognize them as the Gale Wolf bone he sold to the mysterious masked man. So this junior brother Yunjiao was the expert who helped him remove the poison. Wolf's deep eyes stared at the black fog that was constantly rolling. Although he couldn't see anything, he could imagine the devilishly beautiful junior brother Yunjiao standing there in high spirits. High spirits? This was a huge misunderstanding. Yun Jioga was kissed so hard that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. She could tolerate having sex with Zishang in the wild, in a cave, or even with a horse, but she couldn't tolerate having sex in front of thousands of people. Although the black mist was blocking it, it was still very embarrassing. Fortunately, Zishang knew Yun Jioga's bottom line. Although he felt that there was nothing wrong with having a round of dual cultivation here, he did not dare to really anger Yun Jioga. In the end, he reluctantly let go of her. F***ck, this old lady is begging you again. Stab my eyes and break my little dick. Yun Jioga fiercely wiped her mouth. Even if she had to fight the Han brothers to the end, it would be better than being trampled on by him. Keep your eyes. You can cut them when they grow out. Zishang laughed like a cat that had stolen a fish. Laugh your ass. Yun Jioga glared at him. After retrieving the psychedelic bone spike, the black fog immediately dissipated. Senior brother Yunjiao, are you all right? The Lu sisters, Ice Heart Lotus, and little Fatty immediately surrounded him. "I'm fine." Yun-jioga tried to put on a cold expression. Fortunately, her face was bewitching enough. After kissing for a long time, her light purple lips only turned dark purple. It was impossible to tell that she had been kissed forcefully. "Did you see that? Our senior brother Yunjio is not afraid of you. If you dare to call us weak, we'll beat you to death." Little Fatty shouted arrogantly. "Junior brother Yunjio, according to the sex mission, we must pluck 2,500 human-faced peaches from all 5 peaks. Otherwise, the exit of the little secret realm will not open, and we will be trapped here until we die," Wolf Fong said calmly. If possible, he did not want to send his fellow disciples to their deaths. But the sex orders could not be disobeyed. If they did, they would all die together. "I didn't say that we won't pluck the human-faced peaches." Yun-jioga just did not want to use the lives of his disciples. "Then what do you mean?" Wolf Fong could tell that this junior brother Yunjio was not a foolish person. Could it be that he really had a good idea? These human-faced peaches need to be fed with flesh and blood to ripen. But it doesn't have to be our flesh and blood. If we can find other demonic beasts, we can do the same. This was Yun-jioga's plan. There were many demonic beasts in the Death Swamp and Lizard Grassland. If they were used to feed them, they could similarly ripen the human-faced peaches. Catching demonic beasts would only result in more deaths than plucking the human-faced peaches. Wolf Fong felt that this idea was simply wishful thinking. At that time, if the disciples died and the demonic beasts could not be caught, that would be a double loss. As long as we can grasp the right method, there won't be too many casualties. I can guarantee that there will be fewer deaths than now. Yun-jioga naturally dared to say such words because he was confident. "What idea do you have?" Zishang and Wolf Fong asked at the same time. "I have a beast drawing pill here that can attract demonic beasts over. At that time, we can set up a trap and capture them easily." Yun-jioga felt that this was the best idea. "Senior brother Yun-jio, this is a good idea." Right, I think so too. Catching demonic beasts is better than killing our fellow disciples." "That's not true. No one wants to die. If you force me to pluck those disgusting peaches, I'll fight it out with you." Not only were the disciples of the second peak tempted, even the disciples behind Wolf Fong and the Han brothers were tempted. 2,500 human-faced peaches. Even if all the disciples of the second peak were sacrificed, that would only be 700 or so. The remaining 1,800 would still have to be filled with their lives. No one wanted to die. "Fine, I agree." Wolf Fong nodded his head in agreement. He had already decided that Yun-jioga was the expert who had saved him. He would take advantage of the opportunity to curry favor with him in the future. "That's good. We'll go down and kill 2 demonic beasts later to see if we can hasten the ripening of the human-faced peaches. If these human-faced peaches only ate fresh corpses, that would be troublesome. There's no need for you to personally kill 2 demonic beasts. I can just send a few people down." When Wolf Fong made up his mind to curry favor with someone, he was truly meticulous in every aspect. Other than the Lizard Grassland and Death Swamp, which were more dangerous, the other places were still very safe. Killing 2 demonic beasts was not a difficult task. Wolf Fong sent 10 high-level disciples down to kill the demonic beasts and woke the Han brothers up. "Kill!" The moment Han Xiaodong regained consciousness, the bone spear in his hand shot out. Han Xiaoxi did the same. Even if the 2 brothers were to die, they would drag someone down with them. Wolf Fong nimbly dodged their attacks and sent a kick over. "Wake up, everything's fine now." "Everything's fine now?" Han Xiaoxi opened his eyes and saw that Yun-jioga was still standing not far away. He immediately jumped up in alarm. "Junior apprentice brother Yun-jio has a beast drawing pill. He said that it would be more convenient to catch demonic beasts to feed the human-faced peaches." Wolf Fong briefly explained the situation. "So that's how it is. What a great idea." Han Xiaoxi's expression immediately changed as he praised Yun-jio vigorously. After being sent flying by Yun-jioga, they had already listed him as someone they could not afford to provoke. They immediately lowered their pride and tried to curry favor with him. Moreover, they also felt that this method was the best. This time, more than half of the disciples from the various peaks had died in the secret realm. It would not be easy to gather 2,500 human-faced peaches. After all, no one wanted to die. At that time, there would be a chaotic battle. If they could really use demonic beasts to feed the human-faced peaches, it would save them a lot of trouble. Just as everyone was talking, the disciples who had gone out to look for demonic beasts returned with 2 armored crocodiles. Bai Lan, Su Junqing, and the rest also came with them. Chapter 327. Junior brother Yunjiu is truly capable to think of such a good idea. Bai Lan was beginning to admire this junior brother Yunjiu more and more. Not only was he extraordinarily handsome, he was also extraordinarily intelligent and had a high cultivation base. He was definitely the #1 choice for a Dao companion. Bai Lan, who had only ever played with Yunjiu for one night, was actually tempted to become Dao companions with him. Su Junqing could vaguely sense Bai Lan's thoughts. His jealousy intensified, and his desire to kill intensified. Yi Yunji seemed to have sensed his thoughts, and a sharp glint flashed across her empty eyes. "Cut the crap, hurry up and give it a try." The Han brothers hurriedly called for the disciples to bring the carcasses of the armored crocodiles over, and then placed them before Yunjiu fawningly. "Junior brother Yunjiu, I'll have to trouble you." Yunjiu did not decline. She drew a line on the carcasses of the 2 armored crocodiles before throwing them into the peach forest. Then she directed the bone spears to cut off the peaches from the 2 children's heads and let them land on the carcass. The eyes of the 2 children immediately turned bloodshot, and they pounced towards the smell of blood, sucking the carcass dry in an instant. Finally, they closed their eyes and matured peacefully. With a wave of his hand, Yunjiu summoned the 2 human-faced peaches back. After a careful look, he passed them down to Wolf Fong and the Han brothers for inspection. "It works." Wolf Fong confirmed that the carcasses could also mature the human-faced peaches. The Han brothers nodded in agreement. "That's great." The Lu sisters held each other's hands excitedly. Being able to avoid a chaotic battle was also a great benefit to them. The lower-level disciples let out enthusiastic cheers, as if they could already see the light of victory. "Junior brother Yunjiu, then you should start sending out the beast-attracting incense now." Wolf Fong's intention was for the various peaks to act separately. The sooner they plucked the human-faced peaches, the sooner they could leave this godforsaken place and report to the sect about the changes in the little secret realm. The Han brothers also expressed their agreement. There was no need for an alliance at this point, so it was best for them to go their separate ways. "Junior brother Yunjiu, the remaining disciples of each peak are different now. It's too unfair for each team to hand over 500 demonic beasts." Bai Lan had the fewest disciples left. She felt that it was not worth it to kill the same number of demonic beasts as the others. "Junior brother Yunjiu, these are all low-level disciples. Why don't you say it's fair?" Han Xiaoxi couldn't stand Bai Lan's haggling. "That's right. That's why I think it's better to split the disciples from each team equally. That's the fairest way." Bai Lan wanted to use some low-level disciples from Peak 2 as cannon fodder. The disciples of Peak number 2 became nervous again. They were afraid that Yunjiu would agree. After all, this suggestion sounded quite fair. "There's no need to split them. We'll split them according to the number of people. Everyone will get 1 Yao beast. If someone hunts a lot of them, they can sell them to others." Yunjiu didn't think that giving out his disciples would lessen the pressure. He might as well keep them all. "That's fine too." Bai Lan immediately agreed. If they handed it over according to the number of people, the ones with higher cultivation would definitely have an advantage. Wolf Fong and the Han brothers did not say anything. This suggestion was more beneficial to them. At the very most, they could kill a few more beasts and give them to junior brother Yunjiu as compensation. That way, they could do him a favor. The beast-attracting incense I refined is very powerful. Every time I release 1 incense, it can attract over 100 demonic beasts. The beast-drawing incense that Yunjiu refined did not look very eye-catching. It was black and only the size of a thumb. However, it was very useful. Once it was ignited, it would release a fragrance filled with the scent of a female. All the male beasts within a 2-mile radius would be attracted by the fragrance. Junior brother Yunjiao, don't worry. We definitely won't waste these beast-drawing incenses. The Han brothers stared at the beast-drawing incense without blinking. Junior brother Yunjiao's pills, what else do we have to doubt? Bai Lan extended her hand towards Yunjiao with a smile. This beast-drawing incense is made from the essence blood of a female fragrant beast. You know that this female fragrant beast is worth 1,000 spirits. That bit of essence blood is not easy to get. Yunjiao played with the beast-drawing incense in his hand and refused to hand it over. Actually, she had only used a bit of the essence blood of the female fragrant beast to refine these pills. The rest was supplemented with medicinal herbs, so the cost was not high. However, it was impossible for her to give it to these people for free. Junior brother Yunjiao, how much do you intend to sell it for? Wolf Fang asked directly. Junior brother, we are not rich. You can just collect as much as you want, the Han brothers said bitterly. It's fine if it's too expensive. We can't afford it. Bai Lan was also reluctant to spend this money. We are all disciples of the same sect. Why would I take your money? The cost price is 1,000 spirit jade each. This price was considered fair. Yunjiao was only earning half of it. We will take 5. Wolf Fang took out 5,000 spirit jade without hesitation. Senior brother Wolf Fang is really straightforward. I admire you. Yunjiao was in a good mood as he handed over 5 beast-drawing incense. Wolf Fang took the incense and checked it. After confirming that there were no problems, he said to the disciples behind him, everyone split it equally. 100 spirit jade per person. At this moment, there were more than 500 disciples left on peak 1. Wolf Fang could still earn some hard work if each of them were to pay 100 spirit jade. 100 spirit jade was not expensive. These disciples were all convinced. The Han brothers and Bai Lan followed suit and each bought 3 beast-drawing incense from Yunjiao. Then, they each took 100 spirit jade from their subordinates. On peak 2, Little Fatty had already taken the initiative to help Yunjiao and his disciples collect the spirit jade. Some low-level disciples who did not bring enough spirit jade would use contribution points or other materials as collateral. The atmosphere was very lively. Su Junqing naturally did not have the qualifications to take the beast-drawing incense. Everyone had already tacitly agreed that the leader of Peak 2 was Yunjiao. Su Junqing's thumbnail pierced deeply into his palm. He kept telling himself to endure. When the human-faced peaches ripened, he would definitely let these fellows know his prowess. Yi Yunji stood beside him. A sharp glint flashed in her eyes. Junior brother Yunjiao, I will go to the north. Bai Lan said after keeping the spirit jade. The east was the lizard grassland, and the south was the death swamp. The west and north were much safer in comparison. I will go to the east. The evil weapons in Wolf Fang's storage bag had a suppressive effect on the blood earth dragons in the lizard grassland. Junior brother Yunjiao, where are you going? Han Xiaoxi asked carefully. Although they had more people and higher cultivation, they should be going to the death swamp. But junior brother Yunjiao might have other plans. I will go to the south. Yunjiao's side had more than 700 people. They needed the most demonic beasts. They did not know what the situation was like in the west. The death swamp was more abundant in demonic beasts. Moreover, with Zishang protecting them, she felt that there would not be any big problems. Zishang patted her head in approval. Good job. Although Yunjiao did not know why Zishang was so enthusiastic, he felt more at ease. Chapter 328. Junior brother Yunjiao is indeed righteous. Han Xiaodong gave him a thumbs up, looking like he was impressed. However, it was unknown how much sincerity was in his words. Senior brother Han, you flatter me, Yunjiao replied plainly, then said to the crowd, let's meet here in 5 days. 5 days was enough time to kill the demon beasts. Most importantly, the mystic realm would open in 10 days, so they had to prepare in advance. All right. The people of Wolf Fang sect nodded and bade farewell. Yunjioga led the disciples of peak number 2 towards the east. Senior brother Yunjio, can we really kill that many demon beasts? Lu Tiana was not confident. There were too many low-level disciples here. A few armored crocodiles could kill them all. You'll know when the time comes. There was no use in talking. Facts spoke for themselves. After Yunjioga led the people down the mountain, they began searching for a suitable place to set the trap. It has to be about 1 kilometer away from the death swamp. It's best if it's not too flat and empty. Yunjioga briefly explained the requirements of the trap. Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus immediately began searching. Unfortunately, the spots they found were not ideal. This is not bad. Zishang walked around and finally chose a light brown marsh. Yunjioga went over to take a look. The marsh was about half an acre wide and 1 person deep. It was diagonal to the death swamp. It was exactly 1 kilometer away and there were many weeds and rocks around it. The armored crocodiles would need to spend some effort to climb over. It was a very good spot. Let's set the trap here. Yunjioga was very satisfied with the marsh. She gathered the disciples of peak number 2 and arranged them into 5 teams according to their elemental attributes. As the Yin Qi was of the earth attribute, the disciples with the earth attribute were the most. There were more than 300 of them. The next most were the ones with the wood attribute. There were also more than 200 of them. There were more than 100 metal, water and fire attribute spiritual roots. Ice Heart Lotus was the only one with the ice attribute. Senior brother Yunjio, these armored crocodiles have thick skin and extremely high defense. It's very difficult for our attacks to penetrate their skin. Lum spoke from the bottom of her heart. The bone spikes of these rank 2 disciples were the ones given by the sect. They had very low attack power. It would take 100 people to kill 1 armored crocodile. Gathering 700 would be a huge problem. The armored crocodiles have high defense but their spirit power is very weak. We just need to destroy their consciousness. Yunjioga had naturally researched the weaknesses of the armored crocodiles. How are we going to destroy his consciousness? The disciples looked at each other, feeling as if they were listening to a heavenly book. Everyone should have learned the corpse control curse before, right? Yunjioga asked. Yin said. The Lu sisters nodded. This corpse control incantation was the Yin Corpse sect's most basic incantation and could be exchanged for with 10 contribution points. Although most of the disciples did not refine their own Yin corpses, they would still learn this incantation, hoping that one day they would be able to find a good Yin corpse and walk on the path of being able to call the wind and call the rain. But the one controlling the 7th ant was the Black Fiend sect. These low-level disciples couldn't compare to them. They needed to use a special method. Disciples with the same spirit roots split into groups of 10. Then practice using the corpse control curse like how we attacked the Yin ghosts. As long as these disciples could meet this requirement, they could increase the corpse control curse's power by 5 times. Killing the armored crocodiles wouldn't be a problem. This method sounded simple, but it required a high level of cooperation and absolute trust. These low-level disciples would go to the Yin Qi cemetery every day after entering the sect, so their cooperation was very good. With Yunjioga's protection, he didn't have to worry about being stabbed in the back. That was how he met the requirements. The Lu sisters and Little Fatty felt that Yunjioga's idea was reliable and immediately became excited. They all had earth spirit roots, so they each formed a group of 10. This was the fastest and had the best results. The other disciples followed suit and quickly got into the zone. Then what do we need to do? Ice Heart Lotus wasn't willing to be a wallflower on the side. You guys are in charge of guarding the side. When the time comes, we'll need to rely on your frost chi to control the armored crocodile's movements. Yunjioga also gave Ice Heart Lotus a task. He wanted her to lead the remaining disciples in charge of defense. No problem. Ice Heart Lotus readily agreed. The Frost Yin Chi Palm was a routine they were used to, so it was very easy to organize. But the most important thing now is to set up this trap. Yunjioga led the disciples to widen and deepen the depression. Then, he took out a bunch of gray stones and a bunch of yellow weeds. Isn't this gray stone and dry yellow grass? What does senior brother Yunjiu plan on doing with them? Iceheart Lotus had done some research on herbs and ores. Put some into the depression to add some ingredients to the armored crocodiles. Yunjiu said while organizing. These 2 herbs and ores were discovered by pill masters. Unfortunately, they didn't have much use in alchemy. In the end, they were only used to glue stones together when building houses and walls for nobles. Yunjiu got the fire spirit root disciple to melt all the gray stones. Then he mixed it with the dry yellow grass and slowly poured it into the depression. The calm depression immediately started to bubble. The already sticky soil became even thicker and even more sticky. No matter how strong the armored crocodiles were, they wouldn't be able to climb out of the depression easily. Alright, everyone hide. I'm going to release the beast attracting incense. Attack together when I give the order. Yunjiu ordered. All the disciples immediately split into groups of 10 and spread out. These low-level disciples didn't have much attack power, but they were very good at hiding. Many of them even brought concealment equipment in their storage bags. In an instant, the empty wasteland was filled with rocks of all sizes and lush saplings. It was difficult to hide from high-level cultivators with these crude disguises, but it was not a problem for them to hide from the armored crocodiles. Yunjiu also stabbed his 4 bone spikes into the ground and released Yin Qi to hide his human scent. She waited for all the disciples to hide before lighting up the beast-attracting incense in front of the depression. Green smoke curled up and spread out with a fishy and sweet smell. This beast-attracting incense is not bad, right? Yunjiu asked Zishang confidently. Zishang took a sniff and shook his head. The smell is just so. No way. Yunjiu also went forward to take a sniff. It smelled really good. Although it was her first time lighting it, in theory, it shouldn't be a problem to attract beasts. Chapter 329. I'm far inferior to you. When I smell your fragrance, let alone 2 miles, I'll even run 2,000 miles to come over. Zishang's eyes curved, and his smile rippled. Damn, he was comparing her to a mother beast. If I can get you to scram 2,000 miles away, I'll be even happier. Yunjiu wished he could stuff the beast-attracting incense into Zishang's nostrils. Be serious. The armored crocodiles are coming. Zishang immediately changed the topic. A shadow appeared in the distance. Many armored crocodiles were ready to seek a mate. When they were close enough, Yunjiu threw the beast-attracting incense into the small depression. Those armored crocodiles that were faster than the others rushed into the small depression without any regard for their own safety. The muddy water at the front was relatively thin, but the deeper they went, the more solid it became. Soon, the armored crocodiles could no longer swim. However, the armored crocodiles behind them continued to push forward, trampling the armored crocodiles in front of them. Seeing more and more armored crocodiles appear in the small depression, the Lu sisters, Little Fatty, and the others all became nervous. Much better. Why aren't you moving? Fatty lowered his voice and asked the Lu sisters. There were at least 80 armored crocodiles that had entered the marsh. Wait a little longer. Lu Tian'er stared at Yunjiu's back. Yunjiu waited until 100 armored crocodiles entered the small depression before giving the order to attack. The Lu sisters and Little Fatty immediately led the disciples and chanted the corpse controlling incantation towards the small depression. Although the corpse control curse could guide the disciples' thoughts to attack the armored crocodile, whether or not it would succeed depended on the contest of consciousness. With the current cultivation of a low-level disciple, it was impossible for him to control an armored crocodile on his own. However, they were in groups of 10, and they were fighting the armored crocodiles one after another, and the results were gradually showing. After being attacked by the corpse control curse, the armored crocodiles had a splitting headache. They desperately tried to escape, but unfortunately, they were firmly trapped in the mud. Lil Bing, stop the ones behind us. Yunjiu pointed at the 40 or so armored crocodiles crawling behind them. The depression in front had already been filled up by the armored crocodiles, so the armored crocodiles that came later could directly climb over the small depression. Ice Heart Lotus controlled the frost bone spikes to seal off the path of the armored crocodiles. The other disciples also hurriedly used their frost-in energy palms to assist. The movement of the 40 armored crocodiles immediately slowed down. Aren't you going to try using the corpse control curse on them? Xianxia asked Yunjioge. My corpse control spell doesn't work either. Even though Yunjioge had learned the spell, she had never used it on a dead body, so she was not confident. Killing the fish with brute force was more suitable for her. You're someone with a 1,000-year-old corpse. How can you not do it? Xianxia placed his palm on Yunjioge's back and said, "Close your eyes and try it. You will discover a different world." All right. Yunjioge trusted Xianxia. She closed her eyes and started chanting the corpse control incantation. Incantations came out of her mouth one after another. At first, she was a little jerky. But very quickly, a mysterious power came from Xianxia's palm and entered her body. The scene before her turned white. The armored crocodiles were very conspicuous against the white background, like little black dots. The black light from the corpse control spell circled around them like big sharks looking for prey. Yunjioge subconsciously used the corpse control incantation to attack the little black dots. Pew pew pew. One by one, the black dots were destroyed by her. It felt like she had become a god, controlling the life and death of ants. She was even somewhat infatuated with this power. Her attacks became faster and faster. Soon, all the black dots were killed by her, but she was still not satisfied. However, Xianxia had already retracted his power. Her divine sense had also returned to her body. Yunjioge slowly opened her eyes and saw the corpses of the armored crocodiles in front of her, as well as Ice Heart Lotus' shocked face. The disciples behind her were also looking at her as if she was a monster. Back at the Human Face Mountain, Yunjioge had killed the Han brothers in one move. Although it had shocked them, everyone had attributed it to her awesome bone spurs and powerful skills. But now, Yunjioge did not use any external power. She only closed her eyes and chanted the corpse control incantation a few times, and killed the 40 armored crocodiles outside the depression. This was simply a miracle. Yunjioge was also shocked by the scene she had created. Originally, she had only planned to use the bone spurs to attack and kill as many as she could. She really did not expect to cause such a scene. Do you see this? This is the true essence of the in-corpse sex cultivation method. If you can successfully understand it, it will become your ultimate weapon in the future. Xianxia had put in a lot of effort. He had spent a lot of effort to lure Yunjioge into the in-corpse sect, but she resisted the cultivation method here. She only wanted to cure the poison and leave. It was such a waste. Therefore, he deliberately used this move to shock Yunjioge. He hoped that she could discover the true essence of the in-corpse sex cultivation method and focus on learning the in-ghost corpse control technique. I don't know what will happen in the future. I only know that if you do this, the in-corpse sect will definitely use me as a great weapon to get rid of. When Yunjioge thought of the bloody storm that would happen next, she really wanted to beat Xianxia to death. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Ever since Xianxia discovered the secret of the Human Face Mountain, he changed his plan. He did not want Yunjioge to keep a low profile anymore. He had enough of being invisible around Yunjioge. He wanted to leave the mountain and cause trouble. He wanted to announce to everyone in the in-corpse sect that Yunjioge was his. All right, whatever you say. Yunjioge did not care anymore. Even if the sky collapsed, Xianxia would hold it up. Senior Yunjioge, what do we do with these armored crocodiles? Ice Heart Lotus walked over carefully and looked at Yunjioge as if she was looking at a god. Just put them in a storage bag. Yunjioge pulled himself together and said, after this batch, there were still 5 more batches. Now was not the time to relax. Ice Heart Lotus led the disciples to store the 40 or so armored crocodiles. Many of the armored crocodiles in the small depression were also killed. However, there were still many left. With the Lu sisters and Little Fatty's speed, there was still time to kill. Yun Jioga led Ice Heart Lotus and the other disciples to attack the armored crocodiles. Injuries would also weaken their soul power. They worked until the sky turned dark. The disciples of the second peak finally killed the armored crocodiles in the depression. They were so tired that they sat on the ground. This mental work was much harder than physical work. Furthermore, they had walked through the grasslands, swamps, and human face mountain today. If they did not rest, they would not be able to continue working. Everyone, rest well tonight. We will continue working tomorrow. After Yun Jioga gave the order to rest, he brought Ice Heart Lotus to deal with the armored crocodiles in the depression. Chapter 330. The good thing about the depression made by the gray stone and dried yellow grass was that it could be restored to its original state with a sprinkle of spirit powder. But for safety, Yun Jioga still chanted the corpse control incantation around the depression, killing off the armored crocodiles that were not completely dead, before scooping up the corpses. After dealing with the crocodile corpses, Yun Jioga had Ice Heart Lotus organize people to keep watch. The Lu sisters and Little Fatty with earth and with spirit roots were the main force of the work, so they had to rest well. The next morning, Yun Jioga led the group to set traps and kill again. They spent 3 days and finally killed more than 700 demonic beasts. Other than the armored crocodiles, there were also many high-level wolf corpses. These high-level wolf beasts were also attracted by the beast attraction incense. The moment they appeared, they killed a few disciples, scaring the disciples who were focused on chanting incantations. These high-level wolf beasts were cunning, strong spirit power, and fast. Some of the mentally weak disciples wanted to escape. The situation immediately went out of control, and even the armored crocodiles took the chance to charge. Seeing that the disciples were about to be wiped out, Yun Jioga could only summon the profound Yin white bone monkey, using Yin Qi to cover the low-level disciples. Then with Zi Shang's help, she used the corpse control incantation to kill the escaping armored crocodiles, and finally used Ice Heart Lotus to kill the high-level wolf beasts. She single-handedly turned the tide, exposing the profound Yin white bone monkey and her true cultivation. Once they got out, they would definitely attract the attention of the Yin corpse sect elders. Yun Jiao Xixiang, don't worry, we will definitely tell them about the profound Yin white bone monkey. Little Fatty quickly swore, and the other disciples also promised not to reveal her secret. Yun Jioga didn't say anything. They were grateful and of course wanted to help her keep the secret. But it was hard to say after they got out. It was very difficult to shut 700 mouths, but paper could not cover fire. The profound Yin white bone monkey would be exposed sooner or later, and she was already prepared. Let's go! Yun Jioga took the spoils, and led the second peak disciples up the Human Face Mountain. When they came to the Human Face Peach Forest, they found that there was only Bai Lan, Su Junqing, and the third peak disciples. Their group had high cultivation, and with 2 leaders, their killing power was naturally shocking. But even so, they still lost a few experts. Seeing Yun Jioga and the others arrive so quickly and with so many people, they were all very surprised. Junior brother Yun Jio, have you gathered enough monster corpses? Bai Lan could not help but ask. Yun Jioga nodded and glanced at Yi Yunji, who was standing behind Su Junqing. Seeing that her face was still expressionless and her eyes were lifeless, as if she had not regained her consciousness, he finally felt a little relieved. How did junior brother Yun Jioga do it? Bai Lan felt that Yun Jioga was either lying or he really had a secret weapon. You still have the nerve to question someone else's unique secret technique? Aren't you a little too shameless? The Han brothers' voices suddenly rang out. The disciples under the 2 brothers did not suffer any losses. It seemed that things were going smoothly. Bai Lan was annoyed at the sight of the 2 brothers. She snorted coldly and did not ask any more questions. Not long after, Wolf also brought people back. Although they were exhausted, they looked satisfied. It seemed that they had gained a lot. Since everyone is here, then let's properly calculate the gains from the monster corpses. The Han brothers called out. All right, then we'll start with you. Bai Lan wanted to see how much these two brothers had gained. Then we won't be polite. The Han brothers poured out the monster corpses from their storage bags. They had a total of 1,200 disciples on their 2 mountain peaks, and they had killed 1,500 monster corpses. There were all kinds of different species. Although they were mostly low-level monster corpses, this result was still not bad. Senior Sister Bai, your team is filled with elites, and senior brother Su has a life-in corpse. He shouldn't be worse than us. The Han brothers looked at Bai Lan with provocative eyes. Humph. Bai Lan naturally would not be worse than the Han brothers. With 300 people, they had killed 500 monster corpses. Although they couldn't compare to the Han brothers, their quality was much better. Most of them were mid and high-level monster corpses. Next was Wolf Fang. They killed even more. 600 people killed 1,200. They were all blood earth dragons, and their corpses were as tall as small mountains. Like this, even if junior brother Yunjiao is a bit lacking, it doesn't matter. Bai Lan said with a smile. It seems like everyone had a great harvest. Yunjiao opened his storage bag. It was exactly 720. Whether it was quantity or quality, Yunjiao's group was worse than the other peaks. But the second peak only had low-level disciples, so this result couldn't be any better. But although Wolf Fang and the Han brothers were surprised, they had made up their minds to be good friends with Yunjiao, so they didn't ask anything. Hurry up and ripen the human-faced peaches. Su Junqing couldn't help saying this. He couldn't wait any longer. All right, then let's hurry up and finish this matter. The Han brothers were also in a hurry to leave this damn place. They arranged for the disciples to throw the monster corpses into the peach forest. They bumped into many human-faced peaches along the way, but they all fell to the ground and ripened after swallowing the monster corpses. The Han brothers and Bai Lan's eyes were filled with envy. They had thought that they wouldn't be able to complete the sex mission, but they never thought that there would be this many. If they brought these human-faced peaches back, they would definitely be rewarded by the sect. Yunjiao stood at the side, pretending to look at the peach forest, but she was actually sneaking glances at Su Junqing and Yi Yunji. She had originally planned to kill Su Junqing in the little dungeon, but Zishang had suddenly slipped away. She didn't dare to act rashly alone. Now that Zishang had finally returned, he was busy collecting the demonic beasts to ripen the human-faced peaches. Seeing that the human-faced peaches were about to ripen, it would be even more difficult to find a chance to deal with Su Junqing. Don't be anxious. Zishang saw Yunjiao's thoughts and placed a storage bag in her hand. What is this? Yunjiao asked curiously. A good thing that can open up the treasures. Follow me. Zishang said as he led Yunjiao out of the peach forest. At this time, the disciples were busy throwing the monster corpses. Wolf Fang, the Han brothers, Bai Lan, and Su Junqing stared at the ripe human-faced peaches on the ground while keeping their eyes on their opponents. They were all worried that someone would snatch the peaches before them, so no one cared about Yunjiao's whereabouts. The Lu sisters noticed that Yunjiao had left, but they didn't say anything. Instead, they covered for her. After Zishang brought Yunjiao out of the peach forest, they turned here and there before arriving at an empty cave. Why did you bring me here? Yunjiao looked at Zishang warily. That beast couldn't be thinking of dual cultivating here, right? Thinking about the tree hole in the Inchi cemetery, it was indeed very possible. What nonsense are you thinking? Zishang stretched out his hand, wanting to touch Yunjiao's face, but was slapped away by her. This place is not suitable for dual cultivation. You'd better give up on it. Chapter 331. Who said anything about dual cultivation? I brought you here to find treasures. Seeing Yunjiao's face of disbelief, Zishang called out the treasure-seeking scorpion. The scorpion wiggled its fat body out of the sack on Yunjiao's body. It asked Zishang naively, "What orders does the king have?" "Tell your master what treasures are here," Zishang said to the scorpion. "Yes." The scorpion landed on the ground and circled around the cave a few times. Finally, it said doubtfully, "How come I don't smell treasures?" "What else do you have to say?" Yunjioge looked at Zishang with disdain, thinking that he had exposed his plot. Smell again. Zishang condensed a purple light on his finger and shot out a small hole in the ground. The scorpion crawled over and immediately waved its pincers excitedly. Treasures, it really is treasures. I was right. Zishang was very satisfied with the scorpion's performance. Then how do we go down? Yunjioge's eyes lit up. It couldn't wait to find a secret passage in the cave. Follow me. Zishang grabbed Yunjioge's hand and stomped his foot. With a rumbling sound, a large hole appeared in the ground. Yunjioge and Zishang fell in a straight line. The wind blew past her ears, blowing her hair into a straight line. The treasure-seeking scorpion quickly grabbed Yunjioge's sleeve and landed safely with her. Can you tell me in advance next time? Yunjioge's hair fell down, but her heart was still in her throat. Sure. If he still remembered. Master, treasures. The scorpion waved its pincers and excitedly ate. Yunjioge took out the bloodthirsty bone spike and looked forward through the hazy red light. Instantly she was shocked. This was an extremely wide cave. At this moment, there was a huge peach tree growing in the middle of the cave. The grayish-brown tree had a man's face on it. His facial features were deep and extremely handsome. His eyes were closed, and he looked exactly like the man in the human-faced mountain. What the hell is this? Yunjioge asked with wide eyes. This is the human-faced Peach King. Zishang looked at the peach tree and couldn't help but lick his lips. This was a very nutritious thing. The human-faced Peach King seemed to know that danger was approaching, and its branches couldn't help but sway a little. Peach King, but there are no peaches on his tree. Yunjioge looked carefully at the bare branches. There weren't even any leaves, let alone peaches. Very soon. Where's the storage pouch that I gave you earlier? Zishang asked. Yunjioge then passed the storage bag to Zishang. Zishang collapsed in front of the human-faced Peach King, and the stench of blood immediately assaulted his senses. Inside the storage bag were the corpses of demonic beasts. Blood earth dragon, armored crocodile, tiger, leopard, bear, lion, monkey. There were all kinds of breeds, and they piled up to the height of a small hill. There were even more than what Wolf Fong, the Han brothers, and the others had killed. When did you get it? Yunjioge looked incredulous. She had been with Zishang the entire time just now, and she hadn't seen him make a move. After investigating, I found out that this guy is about to mature, so I went out for a stroll and helped him collect some food. As Zishang spoke, he spoke to the human-faced Peach King as if he was coaxing a child. Come, good child, eat quickly. The Peach King didn't open its mouth. It was obvious that if it ate all the food, it would become food. If you cooperate obediently, I can still spare your little life. Otherwise, Zishang turned hostile, and his tyrannical appearance was simply terrifying. The branch of the Peach King trembled, but it still didn't move. Zishang narrowed his gray eyes, and a savage purple light appeared in his eyes. His white fingers emitted a faint purple mist, which gradually turned into 5 long sharp blades. The Peach King's entire body trembled. In front of Zishang, it was as pitiful as a little lamb. Yunjioge originally didn't want to care about this matter, but he suddenly received a pitiful will from the Peach King. Please save me. Wait. Yunjioge's heart stirred, and he hurriedly pulled Zishang's hand. If you force it, it won't be sweet. If it isn't willing, why force it? If I want it to be sweet, it will be sweet. When Zishang became tyrannical, he was truly unreasonable. The face on the Peach King tree made an aggrieved expression, and a thin branch extended over, wanting to secretly pull on Yunjioge's sleeve. But before it could touch the person, Zishang stepped on it and snapped it. You dare to touch this sovereign's people? You're tired of living. Zishang found this Peach King to be more and more displeasing to the eye. Yunjioge, on the other hand, felt that this Peach King was quite intelligent, so he continued to persuade Zishang. In this day and age, fair trade is very important. If you want it to bear fruits for you to eat, then give it something in exchange. Only by negotiating properly could they achieve a win-win situation. When the Peach King heard Yunjioge's words, It raised one of its branches and nodded repeatedly. Fine, this sovereign will listen to your conditions. Xianxia had been tyrannical for so many years, but this was the first time he saw a food that dared to bargain with him. He also wanted to see what benefits this damned peach had. Save me. The Peach King immediately transmitted a powerful will to Yunjioga. Yunjioga's mind buzzed, and the scene before his eyes changed. It was still a dark, wide cave, but the human-faced Peach King in front of him was a short tree. On it was the face of a young and adorable boy. It was the spiritual energy source of this small secret realm, and it had spent countless lonely years in this cave. One day, it tried to stretch out its branches and grow upwards, then spread its branches and leaves all over the barren mountain peak. The branches and leaves slowly grew, turning into a lush peach garden. The human-faced peaches there all had the faces of beautiful boys, and they looked at the strange yet beautiful world in front of them with large, confused eyes. Until one day, this small secret realm was discovered by a group of humans. They were greedy and vicious. They attacked its branches and even wanted to find its source and take it away. In a fit of rage, it attacked them, killing many of them. Because it had used up a lot of spiritual energy, it subconsciously absorbed the corpses as nutrients. Very soon, some of the peaches fell to the ground after absorbing too much nutrients and were taken away by the humans. From then on, a nightmare descended. Every year, thousands of humans would come to attack it. After it retaliated, it absorbed the corpses to increase its nutrients, and then the ripe peaches were taken away. Just like that, the humans used it as a flesh and blood medium, feeding it with human lives, and then taking away its fruits. Day after day, after its branches absorbed large amounts of blood chi, it also became greedy and vicious, affecting its source. It was forced to grow quickly, and the day it matured would be the day it and this small secret realm would be destroyed. It wanted to escape this tragic fate and continue to protect this small secret realm as it grew. Yunjioga could feel the pain of the human-faced Peach King, and she couldn't help but shed tears for it. At this time, she faintly heard Xianxia's call, and she slowly opened her eyes. Chapter 332. Jioga, are you all right? Xianxia looked at Yunjioga nervously. Not far away, the pitiful human-faced Peach King had already had all its branches chopped off by the enraged Xianxia. All that was left was a bare trunk. The handsome man's face was scrunched up, looking incomparably miserable. That despicable Peach King dared to plot against you. Just wait for me to kill him for you. Ever since Yunjioga had almost lost her life because of Siyue, Xianxia had become extremely sensitive to such things. He would not let go of anything that could harm Yunjioga. Don't, it's actually very pitiful. Yunjioga hurriedly pulled Xianxia's hand. The pitiful Peach King was originally innocent and naive. As long as it continued to grow in this small secret realm, it would transform into a human form and obtain great abilities. Later, it was fed into a bloody peach by the Corpse sect. When it matured, it would become the king of slaughter and destroy the entire small secret realm. I don't care if it dies. Even if this small secret realm was destroyed, he could still bring Yunjioga away. There are so many Corpse sect disciples up there. If they all die and only I survive, how can I stay in the Corpse sect? Yunjioga knew that Xianxia really wanted her to learn the Corpse bone controlling technique. He would not want her to give up halfway. As expected, Xianxia hesitated, then reluctantly said, "Fine, tell him that as long as he gives the Jasper Spirit Peach to me, I can help him separate the bloody evil energy." "What method do you have?" Yunjioga asked. "It won't be dangerous, right? You don't have to worry about that." This was a long story, and Xianxia was too lazy to explain it. But Yunjioga gave up and turned to the human-faced Peach King. "Peach King, you heard it too. He is willing to help you separate the bloody evil energy in exchange for your peaches." Why did it sound a little strange to say such words to a handsome man's face? The human-faced Peach King twisted its brown vine and transmitted a clear consciousness. "I don't trust him, I trust you. I can't help you separate the bloody evil energy. Yunjioga knew that the human-faced Peach King wanted her to be his guarantor, but she did not want to do such a troublesome thing with no benefits. This is for you. The human-faced Peach King's brown vine retracted back into the tree trunk and dug around. Finally, it pulled out a green crystal and handed it to Yunjioga. That crystal was only the size of a thumb. It was sparkling and translucent. Damn it, anyone who was shone upon by its light would feel comfortable. Yunjioga instinctively felt that eating this crystal would be beneficial to her, so she couldn't help but look at Zishang. This is a wood spirit. After eating it, you'll be able to communicate with all the plants in the world. Although Zishang was not happy with the human-faced Peach King's actions of currying favor with Yunjioga, he had to admit that this wood spirit was very beneficial to Yunjioga. I didn't do anything to deserve it. Yunjioga was in a difficult position. Zishang was the one who did all the work, so she was too embarrassed to accept it. All that matters is that I have contributed. Zishang took the wood spirit and stuffed it into Yunjioga's mouth. Yunjioga felt the wood spirit melt in her mouth and a powerful aura filled with vitality wrapped around her body. Then, 2 small tender leaves that looked like bean sprouts appeared on her arm. The veins on these 2 leaves were clear, and they were filled with wood spirit energy. Yunjioga discovered that after these 2 tender leaves grew out, her lightning spirit root had gained a wood spirit root, becoming a wood lightning spirit root. The human-faced Peach King was very happy to see Yunjioga's leaves. Many brown branches grew out of the bare tree trunk and pierced through the demonic beast corpses on the ground. The mountainous demonic beast corpses disappeared rapidly. The Peach King's grayish-brown skin was also gradually dyed with a layer of blood. Its handsome and perfect face became clearer and clearer, exuding a dense demonic aura. Yunjioga thought of those savage human-faced peaches in the peach forest and immediately retreated 2 steps in alarm. It won't go berserk and kill people, right? How can it be called the Peach King if it doesn't kill people? You'd better stay away from it. Zishang shielded Yunjioga behind him. Jioga, even if I go berserk, I won't hurt you. A gentle male voice rang out in Yunjioga's mind. It was the human-faced Peach King's voice. Previously, it could only communicate with Yunjioga through its consciousness. But now, it could speak directly through the wood spirit. Although Yunjioga believed that the human-faced Peach King wouldn't hurt her, her heart still trembled when she saw its terrifying appearance. There's still some time before it matures. Didn't you want to take care of Su Junqing? Let's go find him. Zishang grabbed Yunjioga's hand and brought her back to the ground in a flash. At this time, the ground was already in chaos. The sinister-looking human-faced peaches suddenly landed on the ground and devoured the demonic beast corpses. Then, they ran to attack the Yin Corpse sect disciples. Although Wolf Fang, Bai Lan, Su Junqing, the Han brothers, and the others tried their best to resist, there were still quite a few disciples who fell. On the other hand, the Lu sisters, Ice Heart Lotus, and Little Fatty had been practicing their defense all this time. They huddled together and used their frigid Yin Chi palms to help Ice Heart Lotus condense an ice wall, barely blocking the human-faced Peach's frenzied attacks. Everyone come over here. Seeing this, Yunjioga immediately took out her 4 bone spikes. Chapter 333. Go! Wolf Fang and the rest immediately withdrew their defenses and flew towards the human-faced peaches. Wolf Fang and the rest fought desperately for the human-faced peaches, stuffing them into their own storage pouches. But the human-faced peaches seemed to have gone mad. Even if they were cut into pieces, they would still charge towards the blood-red vines. As the red vines devoured the human-faced peaches, they sent out countless branches to attack the corpse sect disciples. Many of them were injured in an instant. Apart from the disciples of the second peak who were still able to defend, the others were all split up and scattered. Su Junqing also chased the human-faced peaches to a secluded corner. Yunji, protect me. After giving the order, Su Junqing grabbed the human-faced peaches with all his might and stuffed them into his storage pouch under Yi Yunji's cover. He looked like he would rather die for the peaches. Can we do it now? Yunjioga asked Zishang from the side. Her bone spikes were already thirsty. There's no need for you to do it. Zishang shook his head. We agreed to let me take revenge personally. Yunjioga frowned. She would not be satisfied until she killed this scum with her own hands. There's someone who hates him more than you. Zishang raised his chin, indicating for her to watch Yunji. Didn't you say that she was controlled by Su Junqing and could not resist? Yunjioga asked doubtfully. We just need to get rid of the corpse-controlling curse on her. This was a good opportunity to let Yunjioga know how important it was to control the corpse-controlling curse. How? Yunjioga immediately got excited. Get Yunji over first. Zishang stomped his foot, and a huge crack appeared in the ground under Su Junqing's feet. Yunji, save me. Su Junqing screamed and fell down in a straight line. Yunji was just about to carry out Su Junqing's order when she was grabbed by a huge purple hand made of spiritual energy. With a whoosh, she was pulled in front of Yunjioga. Yunjioga had already taken out a small knife and was ready. The moment she saw Yunji, she cut her right arm, revealing the treasure map. Yunji stopped moving and exhaled a mouthful of cold air. Then, her eyes began to rotate violently. Yunji, this is me, Yu's friend. Yunjioga waved his hand in front of her. Yu. Yunji muttered twice, as if she had recovered some of her memories. But very quickly, her face turned ferocious, and her red lips spat out 3 fierce words. It's useless. Yunjioga was a bit disappointed. Yunji was still driven by her obsession. How could she take revenge? You need to remove the corpse control curse from her. Zishang placed his palm on Yunjioga's back and said, Open your eyes and take a look. Yunjioga forcefully closed his eyes. He waited until a stream of hot air flashed between his brows before he slowly opened his eyes. Yunji had already turned gray in front of her, and a blood-red chain was very obvious on her chest. That's the corpse control curse that Su Junqing made for her. Zishang's voice rang in Yunjioga's ears. He's only controlling her heart now, but when he advances in the future, he'll even control her heart, liver, spleen, stomach, and kidneys. She'll never be able to escape. What can I do to remove it? Yunjioga asked. Use an even stronger corpse control curse to destroy it. Try it. Zishang's palm on Yunjioga's back began to heat up. That was a sign that he was increasing his strength. Yunjioga only felt a violent force spreading from the center of her eyebrows, causing her body to heat up. Her mind went blank, and her mouth involuntarily chanted the corpse control curse. At first, it was Een Corpse Sect, but as she chanted it, it changed. An extremely cryptic incantation, so distant that it seemed to have come from the primordial wilderness. When Zishang heard this incantation, he was instantly shocked and looked at Yunjioga in disbelief. There seemed to be a flame burning between her brows, and the phoenix feather flower was as dazzling as a phoenix that had ascended to nirvana. Red patterns spread from her forehead down. The bewitching face that had been deeply poisoned slowly faded. Her face was as white as jade, like a snowy mountain that was sealed in ice. Her black eyes were emotionless, like profound iron that had been buried for thousands of years. The color of her lips was extremely light, as if she had abandoned all emotions and desires, leaving only holiness. The cryptic incantation came out of her mouth, turning into an ancient and mysterious holy light that instantly shattered the chains on Yunji's chest. Zishang stared at the completely different Yunjioga. After 10,000 years, he finally saw his lover again. Zishang stretched out his trembling hands, wanting to touch Yunjioga's beautiful, holy, bewitching, and mysterious face. But before he could touch it, the red patterns retreated back into Yunjioga's forehead like a tide. In the next moment, Yunjioga opened her eyes. They were as black as ink, clear and nimble. How is it? Have you removed the corpse control curse? Yunjioga asked impatiently. She didn't notice that she had changed into a completely different person and almost destroyed Zishang. Zishang looked at Yunjioga, who had returned to her original appearance, and felt an indescribable sorrow and sadness in his heart, so he withdrew his hand. "What's wrong with you?" Yun Jioge was confused. Zishang's eyes were so sorrowful just now, and she felt so unfamiliar. "It's nothing, her corpse control curse has been removed. Call her again." Zishang quickly adjusted his expression and returned to his original appearance. Yun Jioge didn't suspect anything and immediately turned to Yi Yunji and shouted, "Yi Yunji." Yi Yunji's tightly shut black eyes suddenly opened, and her pupils shone with the painful light of awakening. She recalled everything that had happened in her life, and there seemed to be thousands of words in her heart, love, hate, and hatred, but they were stuck in her chest, unable to be spoken. In the end, they only turned into extremely shrill cries. "Ah!" The shrill cries of pain pierced through the sky, as if releasing all the pain and suffering she had gone through. The blood-red vines felt the negative energy, and waved their branches even more wildly. The violent sound spread from the human face mountain to the entire small mystic realm, as if the entire world was trembling. Wolf Fang and the rest were all jolted to the ground, and could only use the bone spikes to stabilize their bodies. Su Junqing, quickly release your corpses to collect the human-faced peaches. Bai Lan wanted to find help, but found that Su Junqing had already disappeared. At this time, Su Junqing had just fallen into the pitch-black cave, and the demonic flower bone spike was already circling around him. He cautiously climbed up from the ground, and immediately released a fireball to illuminate the surroundings. Very quickly, he discovered the human-faced Peach King in the middle of the cave. That handsome and perfect face was completely red, and there was an enchanting peach fragrance coming from its body. That was a sign that it was about to ripen. Su Junqing instantly revealed a look of wild joy. Before entering the small mystic realm, he had looked up a lot of information about the human-faced peach, so he was very clear about the appearance of the human-faced Peach King. The peach tree in front of him that looked exactly like the human face mountain was undoubtedly the human-faced Peach King. Chapter 334. The heavens really are looking after me. Su Junqing let out a proud laugh. Once he picked this human-faced Peach King, not only would he be able to evolve Yi Yunji, he could also save some for his next corpse. This was killing two birds with one stone. The human-faced Peach King could feel a disgusting fishy smell coming from the person in front of it, just like those greedy humans. It waved its red vines at Su Junqing without any hesitation. Su Junqing immediately summoned the demonic flower bone thorn. Dark green flowers flew out, one protecting his head and the other two attacking the Peach King. The demonic flower bone thorn's strongest ability was to suck blood, but the Peach King did not have a single drop of blood on it. The two dark green flowers only managed to cut off a few branches of the Peach King before they were entangled by its vines. Su Junqing immediately became nervous. His bewitching technique could only be used on humans, it had no effect on the Peach King. If the demonic flower bone thorn was entangled, he would be useless. It would be great if Yi Yunji was here. Su Junqing immediately summoned Yi Yunji. He did not even think about how Yi Yunji could come in from 100 feet underground. It was a pity that his summons was useless. Yi Yunji had already lost contact with him. Su Junqing's expression changed. Could Yi Yunji have been killed? That was impossible. He was about to summon again when a blood-red vine flew up from the ground and bound his feet. Following that, another blood-red vine turned into a sharp sword that stabbed at his chest. With a prng sound, the remaining ink flower blocked the attack in front of him, but it was quickly tied up by the blood-colored vines and dragged away. Su Junqing watched as the blood-red vine attacked again. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. At this time, a slender white hand appeared in front of him. It spat out a cold qi that froze the blood-red vine. A long red sleeve swept in front of Su Junqing, carrying a delicate fragrance and a faint corpse aura. "Yunji!" Su Junqing hung in the air and said to Yi Yunji with wild joy, "Quickly put me down." Yi Yunji did not move, her deep eyes just looked at him. Su Junqing hung upside down on the tree in a very sorry state. His hair was a mess and his facial features were a bit distorted. He did not look like the gentle young master from the past at all. Yi Yunji thought of how curious she was about the outside world when it was her first time leaving home. In the end, not long after he left the Yi clan valley, he found an extraordinarily handsome and elegant young master who had been poisoned by a snake and fainted on the side of the road. She did not hesitate to save him. After the young master woke up, he thanked her profusely and insisted that she stay in his manor for a few days. From then on, he showed great concern for her well-being, tenderness and sweetness, and used gentleness and care to weave a net that trapped her deep within. She even got married to him in the Zhuangzi. At that time, she had thought that she would be happy forever. In the end, the fire in the valley of the Yi family had woken her up from her dream and broken her heart. Her family was destroyed, her child was aborted, and her little brother was missing. She was sent to the bloodthirsty ancestor as a blood slave. Finally, he put her into the corpse refining furnace and refined her into a Yin corpse. Yi Yunji recalled the past, and her whole body trembled. She looked at Su Junqing with bitter hatred in her eyes. "Yunji, what's wrong with you?" Su Junqing looked at Yi Yunji's frighteningly dark pupils, and his heart couldn't help but jump. He curled his fingers slightly. He missed the corpse control spell. Gotcha! Yi Yunji made a move and cut off both of Su Junqing's arms. Ah! Su Junqing gave a pitiful cry and broke out in a cold sweat. His heart was filled with fear. Could it be that Yi Yunji was taken by another corpse control master? Su Junqing, I never thought that you would have a day like this. Yi Yunji suddenly spat out these cold words. Su Junqing looked at Yi Yunji with a look of disbelief. Yin corpses could not speak. Only if they evolved into a living corpse would they be able to recover the functions of a living person. Could it be that Yi Yunji had a great opportunity that allowed her to jump several levels and directly become a living corpse? Then wouldn't he be rich? Things are like this and you're still dreaming of getting rich. Yi Yunji looked at Su Junqing's greedy eyes. She would always be a tool in his heart. Yunji, could it be that you've recovered your memories? Su Junqing's pupils shrank, suddenly realizing that something was wrong. The things he did to Yunji in the past could be said to be worse than a beast. If she recovered her memories, how could she let him go? That's right, you can think about how to die so that you won't let me down. Yi Yunji gently stroked Su Junqing's face. A bone-chilling cold seeped into his body. Su Junqing couldn't help but shiver. He wanted to kneel down and beg for mercy. He wanted to weep and repent for his past mistakes. But right now he was hanging upside down in the air. If his tears flowed backwards, it would be very ugly. Moreover, it would be very difficult to move Yi Yunji. Su Junqing's mind quickly turned, then he revealed a bitter smile and said, Yunji, I know you hate me. I also know that my past actions are not worthy of your forgiveness, but I truly love you. I refined you into a Yin corpse because I want to be with you forever, never to be separated. Yun Jioga was currently hiding with Zi Shang in the dark. Hearing Su Junqing's confession, he was so disgusted that his body had goosebumps. He wanted to go up and give him a few slaps. Yi Yunji seemed to have heard Yun Jioga's thoughts. She reached out and slapped him 3 times. Her actions were extremely ruthless. Su Junqing's ears instantly buzzed. He spat out a mouthful of blood and 3 teeth. His cheeks were red and swollen. Blood flowed out, making him look incomparably miserable. Yunji, if hitting me can help you vent your anger, then hit me. Su Junqing pretended to be affectionate. His words were very tragic. Beat him to death. Yun Jioga waved his fist at the side. Yi Yunji was not polite. She punched Su Junqing's face. Su Junqing's face was covered in all kinds of colors. He opened his mouth and spat out several mouthfuls of blood. Tisk, beating him to death is letting him off lightly. Yun Jioga's anger was not enough to vent. Su Junqing was such a cruel and unscrupulous man. He should be punished even more cruelly. Yunji. Su Junqing was beaten until tears and blood flew out of his nose. He was in so much pain that he couldn't even speak. But he knew that Yi Yunji had always been soft-hearted. The more he acted pitifully, the more likely he would be to ask for her forgiveness. So he forced himself to say, "I know you want to kill me. I don't blame you because I deserve it. I just want you to eat me. Don't leave even my bones behind. That way, I can be with you forever." When Yi Yunji heard Su Juanqing's words, her body trembled and she stopped. Yun Jioga was worried that Yi Yunji would really fall for it. He was anxious and angry at the side. But Zi Shang held him down and did not let him go out. "You filthy thing. Just looking at you makes me feel disgusted. You want me to eat you?" Yi Yunji revealed a fierce smile. Then, she reached out and grabbed the top of Su Juanqing's head. She dug out his spirit root. Chapter 335. Ah! Su Juanqing screamed. Blood flowed from his head and his body trembled in pain. This was not enough. Yi Yunji crippled Su Juanqing's dantian with a kick. Then she stabbed her fingers into his face like knives and injected the frigid corpse poison into him. Su Juanqing felt like he had fallen into a bottomless ice cave. The pain on his face and body was enough to drive him crazy. He screamed and lost consciousness. Yi Yunji put Su Juanqing down from the vine and threw him to the side like trash. Then she walked towards Yun Jioga. "You let him go just like that?" Yun Jioga glanced at Su Juanqing. He saw that he had been hit by Yi Yunji's frigid corpse poison. Not only was his spirit cultivation destroyed, his face and body were covered in tumors. He looked more disgusting than a toad. It was a horrible sight. Letting him live is the most painful thing. Someone will take care of him when we get back. Yi Yunji's expression was calm. The beating just now had vented a lot of her anger. After knowing that Su Juanqing's final outcome would be worse than death, she did not pay any attention to him. "Then what do you plan to do next?" Yun Jioga asked. Yi Yunji's corpse control curse had been removed. She had regained her previous consciousness. She could choose a new path to live. Although Yin Corp's sect would still try to harm her if they found out, it would not be a problem if she found a place far away from Yin Corp's sect to live in seclusion. "I am already a dead person. I should go where the dead should go," Yi Yunji said calmly. "You want to die?" Yun Jioga did not expect Yi Yunji to choose this path. "I died a long time ago. All that's left is a wisp of my soul. I won't last long." Yi Yunji was very calm about death. She had lived a failure in this life. There was nothing left for her. The only thing she was worried about was her younger brother, Yi Yu. She had committed heinous crimes, but her younger brother had never given up on saving her. Towards this younger brother of his, he really owed too much. "Junior brother Yun Jioga, you are Yi Yu's friend. I want to ask a favor of you." Yi Yunji had never seen Yun Jioga's real body. Naturally, she thought he was a man like the Yin Corp's sect disciples. "Please speak. As long as it is within my means, I will definitely not refuse," Yun Jioga said solemnly. "I don't have anything on me. I don't have anything to leave for my little brother. The only thing I have is this Yin Corp's body, so I ask you to give my body to you after my consciousness disappears." From now on, she would protect her little brother by his side, forever protecting him. "I can take you to find you, but your face." Yun Jioga was in a bit of a dilemma. He was afraid that the news would be leaked and lead to the Yin Corp's sect's pursuit. "You don't have to worry about that." Yi Yunji smiled and touched her forehead with her finger. Her hair, eyebrows, and eyelashes all turned snow-white. The dazzling red mole between her eyebrows instantly froze into an ice sculpture and fell into her palm. Her pale white skin slowly cracked, covered with countless small black cracks. She looked like a failed puppet, completely different from the beautiful Yin corpse from before. Yi Yunji reached out her cracked hand and dug out the treasure map from her right arm. Then she gave it to Yun Jioga. "I'll ask you one more thing. Don't tell Yi Yu that this is my real body. Let him think that I'm already dead and that my corpse is buried in a sea of flowers. He knows that I love flowers the most." Yi Yunji revealed a grin, giving off an indescribably terrifying feeling. "All right." Yun Jioga took the treasure map with a heavy heart. This ice sculpture, help me give it to a disciple from the bloodthirsty sect called Thin Monkey. Although he isn't a good person, he treats me well. Yi Yunji gave the red mole that had turned into an ice sculpture to Yunjioga. During her days in the bloodthirsty sect, because she was worried that she would be sent to the blood cave as a cauldron, she lived in fear every day and night. It was Thin Monkey who gave her a trace of warmth in her darkest time. She always remembered this kindness. In order to save you, Thin Monkey died after helping us break the sect protecting array. Yi Yu has already taken his ashes. Yun Jioga said as he took the ice sculpture. Yi Yunji was stunned. After a while, she said, "Then I'll put this red mole into his ashes." "All right." Yun Jioga nodded and then asked, "Is there anything you're worried about?" "Something I'm worried about?" Yi Yunji's eyes flashed with a trace of confusion. She had sealed her yin energy in her right arm, so as long as she didn't use it, no one would discover her special physique. Everything that needed to be said had already been said. There was nothing she couldn't let go of. If there was anything she couldn't let go of, then there was only one thing. Yi Yunji's eyes fell onto Su Junqing, who was like mud in the corner. She gave a soft sigh and said, "After he's tortured, help me give him a release." "All right." Yun Jioga nodded. Yi Yunji really was a loyal woman. Even if she hated Su Junqing, she would still give him a trace of pity. Such a good woman, why was her life so bitter? "Thank you, you're also a good person." Yi Yunji left behind a final smile. Her black eyes gradually lost their light and she completely disappeared from this world. Yun Jioga looked at Yi Yunji with a sad expression. The only thing she could do now was to send Yi Yunji back to Yi Yu's side. But she didn't know how to send such a terrifying yin corpse to Yi Yu. She didn't know what he would think. Before Yun Jioga could think of a way, she heard Zishang seriously say from the side, "Quickly put her away, the Peach King is about to ripen." Yun Jioga turned to look and found that the Peach King had already turned into a perfect human figure. A tall nose, handsome eyes, perfect facial features, and a tall and slender figure. If it was placed in the human race, it would be a rare handsome man. It was a pity that the bloody aura on its body was incomparably thick. On the peach tree branch, the left half of the peach was condensed from blood, filled with a fierce aura, while the right half was carved from jade, filled with a delicious spiritual energy. The two colors did not have a clear boundary. Rather, they were fighting for territory in the middle. Sometimes it was red, sometimes it was green. But in general, the green color was at a disadvantage. "What do I need to do to help you?" Yun Jioga quickly used Su Junqing's corpse refining bag to put Yi Yunji away. "Just watch from the side," Zishang said as he placed his palm on the Peach King's chest. Noodles, the bloody aura on the Peach King's body found an outlet, and it was like a river bursting its banks, surging towards Zishang. The camouflage on Zishang's body was instantly destroyed. His long silver-gray hair became the white of moonlight, and a purple horn grew out of his head. His eyes became purple with vertical pupils, and his two long legs turned back into the shape of a snake, coiling tightly on the ground. The stench of blood was like a raging sea crashing onto his body, forcing him to retreat little by little. The entire underground cave was shaking, and countless rocks fell from the sky, as if it would collapse at any time. Chapter 336. Yun Jioga looked at Zishang nervously. She had received the consciousness of the human-faced Peach King before, so she knew that it was extremely painful when the bloodthirsty aura wreaked havoc in one's body. It could even drive one crazy. The human-faced Peach King could even distribute the pain to the branches of the peach forest. Zishang could only bear it alone, and it was even more painful. Although the human-faced Peach King and the secret realm were pitiful, Zishang was much more important to Yun Jioga than them. "I'm fine." Zishang could feel Yun Jioga's worry, so he turned and smiled at her. A drop of blood rolled down his pure white face. His smile was even uglier than crying. "Is this peach really that important? Is it more important than your life?" Yun Jioga looked at Zishang with heartache. His handsome and devilish face was covered in sweat. Even the scales on his tail had turned red. Strands of bloody aura emanated from his body. It was the bloodthirsty aura that was attacking crazily. No matter how strong its demonic body was, it could not endure such torture. Yet, the human-faced Peach King stood there as if nothing had happened. What are you standing there for? If you don't think of a way to help him, we're all finished. Yunjioga shouted angrily at the human-faced Peach King. After hearing Yunjioga's words, the human-faced Peach King unwillingly spread its arms, spreading the bloodthirsty aura throughout the secret realm. Xianxia's burden was relieved, and he immediately absorbed the aura. Very soon, the bloodthirsty aura on the human-faced Peach King's body disappeared completely. The peach on the red branch had turned completely green, giving off a fruity fragrance. The human-faced Peach King had also turned completely human. He had a head of light green hair, a tall and slender figure, and a grass skirt wrapped around his waist. His facial features were perfect, and he had a pair of green eyes. The pupils were the shape of two tender leaves, very similar to the leaves growing from Yunjioga's arms. Why doesn't this peach have a human face? Yunjioga did not pay attention to how perfect the human-faced Peach King was. What she was concerned about was that the peach that Xiang wanted so desperately looked different from the human-faced peach above. Those human-faced peaches are my branches. This is the real Jasper Spirit Peach that was cultivated from the secret realm's Ling Qi. The human-faced Peach King reached out and plucked the Jasper Spirit Peach, then handed it to Yunjioga. Yunjioga did not take it. Instead, he looked at Xiang. After all, this was a treasure that he had risked his life to obtain. Store it in a jade box. Xiang gestured to Yunjioga. Yunjioga immediately took out a jade box and put away the Jasper Spirit Peach. The human-faced Peach King reluctantly said to Yunjioga, "This little secret realm is about to close completely. You guys should leave quickly." Just now, he had used his bloodthirsty aura to destroy all the restrictions left behind by the evil people and erase the coordinates of this mystic realm. In the future, he would completely leave the sight of the human race. Then what about you? Yunjioga was a little worried that something would happen to the human-faced Peach King. After all, it had given her a wood spirit and a peach. I can't leave my main body yet. I'll be able to leave the small mystery realm after I've completely transformed. At that time, I'll look for you and repay you for saving my life. A gentle light flashed through the human-faced Peach King's green eyes. He really liked this girl called Yunjioga in front of him. Her scent was very fragrant, and it could calm his raging heart. Unfortunately, that Yao called Xiang was too scary. Otherwise, he would really want Yunjioga to stay behind to accompany him. Then I wish you all the best. Yunjioga still didn't know that the human-faced Peach King had designs on her. She even politely gave her blessings. The human-faced Peach King immediately revealed a joyful expression. He nodded heavily and said, "Okay. I'll definitely look for you. It's getting late, let's go." Xiang grabbed Yunjioga's shoulder with a possessive look and gave the human-faced Peach King a warning look. This damned peach dared to have designs on his wife. He would kill him sooner or later. All right, let's go. Yunjioga didn't forget to bring the unconscious Su Junqing with her when she left. However, she wasn't willing to touch him directly, so she used a rope to tie him up and drag him to the ground. At this time, the human-faced mountain was already shaking, and the mountain rocks were collapsing. The entire small mystery realm was on the verge of destruction. The disciples of the Corpse sect were so scared that their faces were pale. Many of them were paralyzed on the ground, waiting for death in despair. Are we going to die here? Little Fatty had a sullen expression. He still had a great life that he hadn't enjoyed yet. The Lu sisters didn't say anything. They only held each other's hands tightly. They were already very satisfied to be able to live and die together. The only pity was that they couldn't get revenge on their uncle's family. Ice Heart Lotus was still waving the frostbone spike in her hand as she fought. Wolf Fong, Bai Lan, and the Han brothers were also desperately looking for a way to leave, but they were disappointed again and again. Just as everyone was in despair, a clear voice rang out like the sound of nature, "Everyone, come quickly." There's a passage here that can leave. The people of the Yin Corpse sect raised their heads and saw Yunjioga standing in front of a pitch-black spatial passage, waving at them desperately. At that moment, everyone remembered her bewitching and beautiful corpse poison face. They were so shocked that they froze on the spot. What are you all standing there for? Come quickly. Yunjioga shouted again. Only then did everyone come to their senses. They rushed towards Yunjioga, wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. What the hell are you squeezing? You'll only break the passage if you all rush in like a swarm of bees. One by one, the disciples of peak number 2 go in first, then peak number 1, peak number 3, peak number 4, peak number 5. If you don't King listen to me, believe it or not, I'll destroy the passage right now. Yunjioga took out her bone spike and attacked Wolf Fong, the Han brothers, and Bai Lan. She was standing beside the passage now. A bone spike could disrupt the space and destroy the passage. Wolf Fong and the others immediately came to their senses. They restrained the disciples according to Yunjioga's instructions and lined up obediently. Senior brother Yunjioga, aren't you leaving? The Lu sisters asked. You guys go first. I'll leave with senior sister Bai Lan and the others. Yunjioga's words made the unwilling Bai Lan shut up. Just like that, all the disciples of the Yin Corpse sect entered the spatial passage in an orderly manner under Yunjioga's organization. The small mystic realm was completely closed. At that moment, Elder Whitebone and Elder Inkflower were drinking tea in the Inkflower Palace of the Yin Corpse sect. Chosun really left for a long time this time. He even missed the opening of the small mystic realm. Elder Inkflower was already 500 years old. However, she had eaten a face-halting pill when she was young, so she still looked like a 16-year-old girl. Her skin was white and tender, her eyes were thin and long, and there was a tear mole on her left cheek. Although her looks were not peerlessly beautiful, she had a particularly seductive aura. That's nothing. That woman, Siyue, was beaten half to death in the Thunder Nation. Her demon corpse was also crippled, but he still didn't come back. Elder Whitebone was a bald man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He wore a black robe and a necklace made of a string of small skulls hung on his chest. I heard that Chosun encountered an ancient ruin outside. He's probably busy searching for treasures. Elder Inkflower poured a cup of spirit tea for Elder Whitebone. I heard that too. However, as long as the curse on that guy isn't removed, he won't be able to advance no matter how many treasures he has. Elder Whitebone took a sip of the spirit tea and gave Elder Inkflower a piece of advice. Chosun has always been protective of his people. Be careful that he comes back to settle the score with you. Su Junqing and Siyue from the Inkflower Peak had an unclear relationship. Now that Siyue was seriously injured and unconscious, Jin Yanwei from the Cho Peak had come to ask Su Junqing about the situation several times, but was rejected by Elder Inkflower. When he returned, he would definitely complain to Cho Sr. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Elder Inkflower smiled. Su Junqing was not exactly a plaything to her. If Cho Sin insisted that she hand him over, it was fine. Seeing this, Elder Whitebone did not say anything else. He picked up his teacup and took another sip of spirit tea. At that moment, a violent wave suddenly came from outside. The teacup in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into countless pieces. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.